Okay. It
There's
sucks
a
in the spell.
Sleeves illusion last,
Illusion.
which I have minor illusion,
Okay.
so I'll do that.
Yep.
Alright, and then we're back to divination because there's the same order of spells.
The gem is fully glowing now. It doesn't even look green anymore. It is glowing white. And it starts to light up the arcane runes on the floor. These giant curved lines that were in black rock on the blue stone floor, they start glowing. The energy from the central gem starts flowing out into all of them until you are all standing in a room of just incredible luminance coming out of the ground, casting shadows of you up on the ceiling, until the point that you can't actually see anymore because it's so bright. Everything just clicks and you feel the wind on your face. A bird chirping. You can see you are in a wooded area. Pine, birch, and spruce is mainly what these look like. The area that you're in, there's a circular formation with similar runes as we're down below. There is no gem in the center of this one.
I just close my eyes and breathe in deeply from my nose.
The kobold is on the ground, holding his head in a ball. It's like, up, up.
Crap. Do you know how to get back for yourself?
What? Up, up food, up food.
Fisher looks up
Yeah.
and around.
Are they fruit-bearing trees? Is that what you're saying, man?
But there is the similar arcane language on the ground. You are not able to tell much. It is nighttime, which is kind of nice considering you guys just came from so much darkness. You guys come out in darkness and you can see mountains up behind you. Tall white mountains that reach up into a cloud layer.
But it's not snowy here or anything. It's just wooded.
It is not snowy. It is snowing up on the mountain, but not here. It is cold, but you guys are kind of used to that from being underground.
Rika has a ring of comfort.
So you are good.
Talia will flop on the grass and like do snow angels in the grass.
Does anyone... There is a cleric spell that's like... It tells you where you want to go. Does anyone know what it's called? I don't know the name of it.
Find the path or something like that.
I might not have it yet. I just couldn't remember what it's called.
And the path sounds right.
Yeah, I was gonna try to see if I could do that to see if
it is 6th level divination.
Okay, yeah, there yet.
That's a lot higher than I expected it to be.
Well, it's really good. It lasts like a day.
Yeah. I'll talk to the kobold again. I'll say, hey, are you able to get back on your own?
I just want food. Just food up.
I guess he's hungry. Are you hungry, little guy? Is he making any gestures?
Yeah, he's on the ground freaking out.
Is he saying we're food? I don't feel like food.
His dad probably came up here to bring food back down to them. He just knows that food is available up here. He doesn't know where or how to get it or how to get back down.
No, you give food. Give food. Brought up. Give food.
No, see, the deal was you show us how to get up, we don't kill you. It was nothing about food.
I'll cast create food and water, and so I will give him some bland but nourishing food.
Yeah, he swan dives into your pile of bread. Ah, yes, food, food.
What's your name?
Skag.
Shkag. Okay.
And he just starts digging into the food. Totally ignores you guys and is just eating as much as he can.
All right. Well, I just say you're right. We can be done with him.
You don't think he'll hurt somebody, do you?
I honestly, I'm not even sure if he's capable of doing so.
We've seen a lot of kobolds hurt a lot of people.
Fair. But I mean, this one did help us, so we can let him go for now, and then
Yeah, I'm not inclined to kill him
he
unnecessarily.
can forge his own path in life.
Kill him. I was hoping you would parent him. Good lord.
That is an undertaking that we are not equipped to.
It's like I said, I'm not investing 18 years into this kobold. What are you talking about?
Well, kobolds don't live that long, but I am not for it either. She says.
I mean, I think we should let Skog follow us around if he wants to.
I'm vetoing that idea, Rika.
Why? We can show him the ropes. He needs to know how to survive up here. I'd take him back to the dojo if we were nearby, but
You think a kobold would be able to adjust to urban life?
Dad would take him in.
Yeah, he probably would.
I mean, he probably doesn't want to. He probably has other people he stays with. We know his father's dead or gone or whatever, but that doesn't mean he's alone.
Well, why don't you ask?
He
I'll
is
feel a lot
currently
better.
face first in a mound of bread.
I mean, he understands common. You can speak with him.
He doesn't seem very eloquent. Are you sure? Skog? I kind of lean over.
Food.
Oh man,
He's
He's
still
long
eating,
gone.
even though you're talking to him. He looked over when you said his name, but he didn't stop eating.
You're gonna make yourself sick, little guy. Don't eat too fast.
Yeah,
Not
yes,
too much.
yes, food.
Do you have family?
Yes, down, family. You, you down. You, me down.
See?
I don't think we can take him back, can we? I mean, I guess we could cast the spells again and then jump out of the way and just let him go back. Do you want to go back down, Skog? Or do you want to stay up here?
Food.
After the food. You can have all the food. But after you...
I wouldn't recommend it. It's 45 pounds of food.
Well,
You take it to his family. It's like the food will probably go back down with. I mean, he's in the circle. We step like outside of the circle to cast the spells into it.
yeah, it seemed to be absorbing our spells without having to touch it, right? Like, they just had to be cast into it.
There's a different arrangement of gems. There's not one gem in the center. There's actually 8 gems placed around the outside. Does appear to be a similar type as down below, some sort of green gem in each one of these slots.
Maybe it's harder to go down than it is to come up. That seems a little weird. But I guess if you were invading the Underdark, you'd probably have more people at the beginning than you would at the end when you were trying to come back. unless you're awesome like us. We came out of here with more people.
Food.
Okay, so are we sending him back down? I think we should go ahead and do that now while he's distracted. Either that or we're bringing him with us. Which one is it?
I should just leave him.
If we leave him, he'll get eaten by a wolf, or he'll have to start stealing for food or something.
Baisha says so. That's nature.
Nature is unkind.
You guys hear a caw up over the night.
Yeah, Baisha says nature is not unkind. Nature is nature.
Do I recognize that call?
No, I mean, you could tell it's some sort of bird.
Well, yeah, I knew that. I wasn't trying to like identify this particular type of bird necessarily. I just didn't know if I had heard that particular one before in recent past. What I was thinking is Talia's one. I don't know why she's thinking this, because it could be just any random hundreds of thousands of birds, but like that druid that followed us for a bit, that was shapeshifted into a eagle or something, that was hanging out with Biker for a while until we got further away, and I can't remember what she was up to. Had been scouting the area and spotted us or something, was calling, but like that would be, I don't know. I'm reaching.
Delan Winterhound is who you're talking about.
Yeah.
This kobold. He's just absolutely filled to the brim, and he's still laying with his back in the mound of bread, and he's trying to stuff more into his mouth, but you could tell it's getting painful.
Yeah, I'll physically remove him from the food.
No.
Okay, you're hurting yourself. Stop eating.
No food.
Are you able to get back down?
Down.
You know how to do that?
Down.
Okay. Go home to your family.
Bye.
He puts his hands on the ground and he says, down.
Talia laughs out loud into her hand.
Gives you a look. I guess you can't read kobold facial expressions, but he gives you a look, and then he hits on the ground, starts pounding on the ground. Down.
Rika gets out of the way. She like backs off of the circle or whatever.
So but there aren't any visible gems in this room this time?
They're just placed in different places around the room, or around this circular formation in the ground. There's 8 of them around the outside rather than 1 of them in the center.
Baisha once again says, just let's go. Leave him.
He sneaks back over to the food.
If you insist, Baisha. Rika goes and lets the princess on her back. Brisea.
Yeah.
Oh,
says,
well,
"Thanks,"
no.
or-
Hang on. He did.
How
he did
would
help
we-
us.
How would we even know which direction to go?
Standing outside of the room, I try casting guidance in that general direction, see if anything lights up, which is divination.
It doesn't appear. You try it a few times in a few of the different gems, and it doesn't seem to take.
Alright.
You see they absorb the spell, but it dissipates in a second, too.
Is there any way we can remember where this place is? We need like some landmarks because we want to come back here someday, or at least tell the Harpers. Or I guess the Lord's Alliance. That's who we're working for.
And I can make notes of our journey from here, and like when we get to a known location, we can then extrapolate from that where here is.
Yep. All you are able to tell by looking is that you have mountain to one side of you, and you have forest to all the other sides. That's all the information you currently have.
Where there are mountains, there are rivers.
And where there's forests, there's
Well, I can.
game.
What do we think is the direction we want to head in? I can potentially see if that's a good or bad idea.
Okay.
Said you've got mountains on one side and forests on the other, but like, is that? Well, I was about to say east or west because we don't know if it's east or west versus north or south. We just know that it's
Right.
one side and the other.
It is the middle of the
so-
night.
We
Well,
gotta find the North Star. That exists in Toro, right?
well, that was a good point. I mean,
You
it's not
cannot see the
anyway.
North Star from where you are.
We could just rest and wait until morning and figure out where the sun's coming up from.
Are we tired? Or are we just like jet lagged for being underground for a month?
You guys have only gone through half of this day at this point. You guys woke up and walked for a while underground, and then found this guy. It didn't take you long to figure out the puzzle room and get back up here. So you guys are, I mean, you've been awake maybe 10 hours.
Let's make camp and try to sync up. We probably deserve a break.
Yeah, because even if we made some more progress, it would be progress with less knowns, like trying to pinpoint where we're starting from.
Yeah, let's just start strong in the morning. Is that okay with you, Brisea?
I think that is a wise decision. And I've never had a problem with having more information. So she starts settling down. She asks Rika, she says, "Hey, do you have an extra blanket? Maybe some clothes I could use to lay on?"
Yes, I have some things for you. I can give her... I pull up my bag of holding and start rummaging through it. Let's see. I have a red wizard regalia you could wear.
Pillow.
How about these distinctive cultist robes? You could probably roll those up and make a pillow out of it.
Yeah, she lays the robes on the ground. She uses the other thing for a pillow. Maybe another one as a blanket.
Sure.
It's a bit frosty up here. You guys
you
can
can use
all tell, except for Rika, that it is. Well, it's freezing. Maybe just a little bit above freezing.
I pull out Mondath's dragon regalia and I tuck her in with it.
Yeah. She accepts your help.
Then I start working on the tent. So we got a 2-person tent and 3 people, three ladies.
I will gather firewood to start a fire, since there's forest right there and it's cold.
Is it?
He was just saying. I mean, Rika doesn't think so, but everybody else, it's cold.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go gather firewood.
You do so, you are extremely aware of the sounds of the forest. It sounds, it's just so loud to you now after having been down underground for so long. The sound of insects buzzing. There's not too many birds out at night. You do hear an owl, but it just stands out so much from what's been missing. And also just the smallest hint of wind is immediately noticeable. You're able to grab enough wood out of the woods and start up a fire. Where do you start it up? Do you start it up on this teleport thing or outside
No,
of it?
I'm off to the side of it.
Okay. Yeah, how big do you make it?
Not huge. I mean, it would be, a couple feet across, foot high. I mean, it's not a huge fire. We just need warmth. It's not a bonfire or anything.
Yeah. You're able to get that going. Warms everybody up. You guys set up your stuff around it. Brisset is still out. Well, no, she would try to get in the tent. She would get in the tent. As soon as you set it up, she would get in the tent. Does anybody say anything to her?
He takes her robes and everything into the tent.
Yep.
And makes a bed for her inside of it. I think Rika would just watch her do it.
Yeah. She
kinda
waits.
shakes her head.
She waits for you to set up the tent, and then she just goes in. Like, it was expected.
You can sleep in the tent tonight, Talia. Now that I have this ring of comfort, it's really not that uncomfortable to be outside.
You sure? I don't mind kicking Princess out to make room for you.
Oh, I'm sure.
Well, I may kick her out anyway if she gets snooty in her sleep. I'm not putting up with that shit.
Snooty in her sleep.
Well, I mean, if she starts using me as a plushie or like snores really loud or any number of things that would annoy me while I'm trying to sleep that you know better than to do or that I just put up with you, but would not with her. Any number of things could see me just throwing her outside. Depends on my current mood and how much sleep I've gotten.
Rika just shakes her head and shrugs and says, "Well, I trust you to do the right thing. Whatever you think's best." She pokes the fire with a stick.
Warm my hands on the fire one last time, and then I will go lay in the tent.
Rika begins practicing her control flames cantrip on the fire, making animal shapes out of flame.
Arcana. You are seeing them in the flames, but it's just you. It's like when you look at clouds and you see shapes. You were just like, oh my gosh, I'm really good at this. And you're not even casting the spell. Like you're doing incantation wrong. The early spring night is not remarkable in any way. Deep, cold, moonlit. Except that without any prior collusion, every storyteller on the Sword Coast tells a story about the dragon killers. In its many variations as voices. The dwarves sing of Olg Slaverm in the Mithril Hall, and Zana Olgad in the Undermountain. The elves tell tales of Takal Mai. In the human cities, they are called Drakshizor or Fuga Lacrima. In the east, Jiming Zhangmiao stalks the dragon's steppe or Mangusa strikes the final blow. The halflings call them Hearthlight and Wormsmack and Skyfall. All of the stories are about this group, though none of them know it.
Yeah, that was my plan as well. Sleep for 4 hours and then be up the rest.
The kobold has pushed the mound of bread over towards the fire and is now sitting in the bread.
Poor bread. This bread has been abused.
He looks like he's in pain, and his stomach is like bulging out, and he's just still stuffing little bits of bread in his mouth.
I'd say Rika probably curls up next to the fire on her bedroll and eventually prestidigitates something over to Bashir to wake him up so he knows it's his turn. She just kind of like shoots little puffs of air at him until he finally wakes up.
Oof. Yeah. No, nothing comes along. You, again, are hearing the sounds of the forest. It's discomforting after so long. But you sit there with the kobold. The kobold doesn't say anything more than down and food, or some combination of those two words.
Yeah.
But
Rika tells Baisha, before she kind of nods off, she's like, make sure Skog doesn't take any of our stuff. And make sure Talia knows that too.
He nods.
you see these birds flying between you and the moon. You're not able to make them out too much when they're not exactly in this little ring of dim gibbous moonlight. They're kind of coming in and then going back out again into darkness, and another one comes in and goes back out into darkness. But about halfway through your watch, one of them dives directly at you guys and reaches out its talons and digs them into the kobold and begins flying away.
Basher watches it fly away.
Yeah, you hear there's a little bit of a struggle, and then you hear and then just the flapping of wings. Just the limp form underneath this 30-foot wingspan bird. A crow. It looks like a raven or something like that. And the bread is left there alone. But the rest of your watch goes unbothered.
I like
Talia
Skog.
wakes up. Once Talia wakes up, I'll head to sleep again.
I'll say, stretching out my neck and all that kind of thing. Noticing the bread pile there, but no kobolds. Where'd Skog run off to?
Basher will point to the sky before settling down and going to sleep.
Talia will shrug her shoulders, not knowing what that means, and say, okay, just settles down by Rika, and whatever.
Go ahead and make up.
Let's get off my nose.
You guys apparently got here about, just coming into the dark parts of night, like 10, 11 o'clock, you think, because it's another 8 hours and 8 hours until the sun rises.
I do want to take note of the directions so that I can pull out my journal and toward the back I'll start logging our journey from here so that we can find it. So I'll draw the the arcane search of where we came up and say Underdark portal or entrance or elevator or whatever, and then a direction of east, whichever way the sun was,
Right.
and then preparing myself to draw a line from wherever direction we choose to go, so that I can at least backtrack later.
Well, you're the first one to see it because you're there as the sun's rising. And you are able to tell the mountains are to the north, the woods are to the south. So the sun is coming up to the east. But there is no more bother to your night. Everybody else wakes up, sees an empty pile of bread on the ground.
Talia wants to hunt some breakfast since she doesn't want to eat the bread that the kobold has been wallowing and slobbering all over, and would like something other than rations now that we have like game available.
Oh, you can see there's a blood stain in the bread too. He was stabbed with claws on top of it. So.
Well.
Yeah, that too.
I don't look at it that closely just because I know he was already wallowing on it previously. So I'm like, I've already written it off, so I don't even investigate it. Once they're all up, I will gather some wood to rekindle the fire, and just be like, I'm gonna catch some game before we set off. Get everybody some fresh food.
Rabbit, deer. There's those giant crows that you saw.
No, not a giant crow. No, a deer would be nice.
You could find a deer. And this appears to be an extremely dense jungle. As you're out and about, you can see there's no human, except for that one place that you came in. There's no human interaction. There's also, when you walk out into the woods, you look back, you cannot see any of your group, and you cannot see the teleportation circle on the ground. It looks as if it goes into a wide open clearing and then up into the mountain from the outside.
Oh, I'll make note of that once I get back to camp and can get to my notes again.
Right, you come in with a deer, and I guess actually, if you're just trying to get breakfast and stuff, you probably do that pretty quickly.
Yeah, I'm not worried about getting the hide and being careful about that. I'm just like, I just want to get the meat off in a form that I can cook it, even if it's still on the bone.
Very tasty, juicy dough meat. So maybe we head south. I don't see any reason to go into the mountains if we don't need to, Briseis says.
It would be a much more arduous journey.
And it just seems like, why do it if it's just a 50-50 chance anyway?
I will ask Esoteric if he happens to have a map.
At the very least, you have an encyclopedic knowledge of this, and you could draw out a map if you really needed one.
I have Volo's Guide to Dragons. Maybe there's a map in there.
It was more of me just wondering, obviously we don't know where we are, but if someone is familiar enough with the topography of, the Sword Coast or the area that we are in, we could kind of look and say, okay, where is a forest and a mountain that it would be north and south of each other, that would be within the same hemisphere of the area we were at least, within. Just trying to kind of process of elimination places we definitely aren't here, and kind of just narrow it in a little bit.
Well, I have a question. What, if you were to guess, what region do you think we're in?
That's what I was trying to determine.
Just off the top of your head, Esoteric, where do you think we would be?
I have no way of knowing. We could have teleported thousands of miles with that gem.
Oh, I just assumed it took us straight up.
I mean, we have no way of knowing that for sure.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Right.
Well, I guess I'll just see if I see any landmarks. And so Rika casts fly and flies straight up. You know, not with Persea on her,
Oh.
but
Oh
Very
shit!
cool.
I forgot you can do that.
Yeah, it hasn't been useful in a bunch of caves. Okay. Tall mountains to the north that go off east and west as far as you can see. See these, again, giant crow, a couple of them keeping low across the top of the trees. They don't seem to take notice of you. Maybe a day or two's travel to get out of this portion of the woods that you're in. So you have shorter mountains to your south. There is a river off to your west, about 10 miles. Nah, maybe a little bit less than that. 8 miles, 7, 8 miles.
okay. Which way does the forest clear? Is it south of us?
South, yeah, pretty much directly south is the quickest way out. You can also see spires of ice off to your east in the mountains. These tall, thin, probably 100 to 200, 100 to 300 feet spires of ice. I don't know that that means very much to you as Rika, but you would see those.
Okay, now Rika takes the opportunity to fly around and have fun for a few minutes. She's just spinning around and laughing and doing loops and stuff.
A couple crows perched on a nearby tree or on nearby trees cock their heads at you.
And I land back down to the group with a
and
whoop.
They caw at you. Yep,
Rika's got a big
back
grin
down
on her
to the
face. She's like trying to get the hair out of her face, and she's just smiling. She needs to take a minute. And then she begins to describe what she saw, with the mountains to the north and the river to the west, the forest clearing to the south, and the icy peaks to the east.
Rika, you hear in your head a message. This is Daggled Neverember, looking for the party that was sent to Borskir. Please respond with your location or if you are alive. You can tell, Rika, that this is not Daggled Neverember. You can see the person who's sending this, and it's not Daggled Neverember.
Okay, that seems really unusual. Who does it look like? Is it still a human?
Yeah, it's a human, old guy, gray hair, loose jowls. Yes, very thin and wispy.
Okay, and only I heard it?
Yeah.
Did anyone
well,
else
you
hear
heard
that?
it.
Esoteric, did you just hear a message?
What are you talking about?
I was just standing here, you know, basking in the afterglow of being up, flying in the open wind for the first time, and I received a very strange message in my mind.
That is usually a one-on-one communication, as far as I'm aware.
It's just, why would they choose me?
We heard your
Do what?
response. Please send us back your location. Stop talking to other people. You hear that in your head.
Okay, you don't look like Daggle Neverember. You look very much older than he was. Rika's just talking to herself now, it seems like, to everybody else. She's kind of looking off towards the woods.
I'm not a spellcaster myself. I have them cast it for me. How many of these messages do you intend to waste?
Dozens.
Okay, Rika says, we're alive. We just got back from being in the Underdark. We don't know where we are. We're trying to figure out exactly where we are. We just know that there's a river to the west and mountains to the north, and we're in a forest. We will try to make our way back to some settlement as quick as we
Pretty sure
can.
that's 25. Oh, you can keep going, though.
Yeah, Rika just keeps talking and talking.
So he
But I said
interrupts you.
dozens.
He interrupts you again as you're talking. Okay, I got some of that. Once you have found your location, do you have a way to send back a message? And this is a new person who's sending this message now.
A member of our party can use the sending spell. Yes.
Okay, this is the last one we have here for the morning. Please respond with your location, and we will get back to you tomorrow with instructions or information.
Roger that. Will do. Seems like a waste not to use all 25 words. Okay. I really don't know why they chose me, guys. It's very strange. Maybe they like me more than everybody else. I don't know. I guess I am kind of the prettiest one, so.
Briseia scoffs.
Okay, well, our immediate goal is to try to locate Cormier, right?
Well, I think that's a more intermediate goal. The immediate goal is find any settlement of any sort so we can figure out where we are, so that we can figure out a direction to go.
Okay, well, Rika, with your scouting, what do you think it would be the best direction to go?
I don't know. I mean, if we go to the river, settlements are usually built on rivers, right?
The reason I'm asking is because I have a spell that could potentially help us, but there's only one question, so we need to pick one direction, and I can discern whether or not that is a good direction to travel in.
All right. Well, to the north, the mountains seems like questionable, right? We've already kind of been over that a little bit. Going towards the icy peaks, while interesting, again, seems like potentially dangerous terrain. So south, the forest clears, so that's a choice. Or we could go west to the river. So
About southwest, because that would be both. It would be both going where the forest clears and in the direction of the
well,
river.
we're gonna use Esoteric's thing, and we're gonna ask,
Right.
should we go east or west? I mean, or should we go west? And if they say yes, then that's where we go. And if they say no, we'll go south. I figured it out.
Ask if we follow river.
Well, that we could be following the river in the wrong direction.
River flows down.
Oh, you mean following the river flow? Okay. All right, I will. Yeah, so I will start getting out my components, and I will begin the ritual cast of augury. So I receive an omen from an otherworldly entity about the results of a specific course of action you plan to take within the next 30 minutes.
And what action are you planning to take?
So
within the next 30
I'm
minutes?
going to ask the question: if we follow the river's flow, will we come across a settlement? And I get a wheel is good, woe is bad, wheel and woe for mixed results. Nothing for results that aren't especially good or bad.
Wheel or woe?
The answer it should never be able to give because it's incredibly unhelpful.
I strike down a member of Rika's family with rickets.
Well, so yeah, it's mixed results if we follow the river's flow. I mean, that could mean a number of things. It's not a very, fortunately, it's not a very precise spell. It could mean we'll find a settlement, but they won't help us or something like that, or perhaps it's like a ruined settlement or something.
This was your opportunity to just make up a story and lie to us.
I don't do that.
You could have put us all at ease.
I pat Rika on the shoulder.
I think it's best bet to follow the river's flow away from the mountains, but don't expect it to be all sunshine and daisies.
I concur. I agree with that course of action. It is sound for a number of reasons, and that just confirms it. We know to be ready for bad things to happen anyway, and we kind of expect that. So, as long as there's some good with the bad instead of just bad, then it seems like it's worth trying.
You know how Baisha's from Chult, right?
I do know that, yes.
Okay. Would it make sense for him to have encountered a Quetzalcoatlus at some point? It's a giant flying bird dinosaur.
Yes.
Okay.
They live on their island.
Baisha says we can fly.
How do you figure?
Baisha says get on, and then I'll use my wild shape to change into one.
Talia will jump back.
He has like a 26-foot wingspan or something.
Holy
Right?
shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's about the same size as the crows you were seeing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's at the very least going to be reduced movement.
That's fine. Yeah, I'll fly slower. That way, y'all don't fall off as easily. Because it's not like I have a bridle.
Yeah, I'm not going to let him move that fast with all of you on there. Maybe like a couple miles an hour is what I'm thinking if he's carrying all of you. This is not a mode of transport that you would be able to use regularly. But in this particular circumstance, it is faster than walking through the trees.
Oh yeah, just that alone would be worth it, even if we were going 1 mile an hour. I mean, and having the view of where we're going, so we get to do a hypotenuse instead of having to, zigzag.
That first hour you guys are up, you start seeing these crows come out and start circling above you. Maybe 15 of them. As they see this giant creature coming through their woods, they start circling above you. They're not getting close, but they're definitely, they've taken notice and they're deciding on a course of action. So you guys have this kind of ominous cawing going on all day as you're riding on it, holding on to this thing's feathers.
Yeah, they would have had feathers, as most dinosaurs did.
Yeah. So you guys are just squeezing onto this, and you can see these things are. I don't know if you've ever seen a murder of crows flying above you. It's rather off-putting. Yeah. And these are giant crows, which I mean, it's not like it matters as you're looking at them. They just look like normal crows, except they're way farther away than they should be. Does that change anything you guys are doing?
Unless anyone says anything else, Baisha's just going to continue forward.
Oh.
Maybe he'll fly lower, like just slightly above the tree line.
I would say if the birds get close enough, Rika, within 120 feet, she would try to firebolt them.
Okay. During this next hour, they are still circling above you, but they are coming in closer. And one of them does die. He kind of makes a test dive at your party. He doesn't get real close, but he's way closer than any of the other ones. Probably comes within 40 feet of you guys, and you take a shot at him with a firebolt.
Mm-hmm. Nope.
Well, yeah, it goes flying off into the distance, but he took note of it and went further back. They're staying 200 to 300 feet above you and around you. And as you guys are continuing, you're getting more and more. There's about 20 out now. All just...
There's 20 of them?
There's 20 of them, either around you or above you.
This is getting a little scary. Are we going the wrong direction?
I assume you guys are going south. I think that's what you decided on. Or were you heading southwest?
Well, we're following the river, whatever direction it's flowing, assuming it's flowing south.
The river's 8 miles west of you.
Right,
So
so
if you want to head
Go west
southwest,
to the river,
you
and
can
then
head...
go south.
But I sure would have done the hypotenuse because it makes the most sense to save the most time and distance.
Okay. You're heading through your second hour of travel. You guys are most the way to the river. Probably about halfway to the river, and you've traveled another couple miles south. And you guys are still heavily within the woods. The birds start to dissipate as you get closer to the river. It seems like they are backing off. A couple of them do kind of diving things at you. Do you keep shooting firebolts at them, Rika? Or does anybody else do anything? You can tell they're extreme, like just by the tone of their voice, you could tell they're very agitated that this giant winged thing is flying in their woods. Oh yeah, you hit this guy and just singe his feathers, and they catch for a second, but he flaps them and gets them out, and then he dives down into the trees. It looks like they were revving up for a kill and they didn't get it. And so they start flying off one or two at a time. And you guys are all on Baisha's back, still flying out of here. But they have somewhat lost interest and they are starting to fly away now. What do you guys do for the period of flight? I would expect you to be somewhat shocked immediately, but you guys are going to be up there for hours to get out of this forest. What do you guys do?
I'm flying. Yeah, so I'm flapping my wings.
Basically clear skies, except for these huge crows.
Rika is haphazardly laying on her back with her hands behind her head, with her legs crossed and just kind of kicking one foot, kind of rolling back and forth as the bird's muscles ripple across its body as it's flapping. Her hair is just kind of flapping behind her. She just seems in her element.
Talia is very nervous to be so up high. Probably is gripping Baisha a little too tightly, and constantly keeping watch for incoming foes.
I was going to say meditation, but not really meditating, like, quiet introspection.
Rika's watching these clouds go over, just sparse, puffy clouds. These crows are all taken off. Now you guys are basically alone, flying over this wood.
So Rika gets bored and she like starts climbing down the feathers towards his feet, his talons, I guess, and wants to kind of see if she can hang glide down there.
That's extremely dangerous. You can hold on to, like, assuming Baishra lets you. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not gonna just fucking eat her off.
Yeah, but that's gonna mess up your flight. Having a person climbing around under you.
Yeah, I'll have it for a little bit. I'm not gonna do it for hours. A couple of minutes can't hurt.
Yep. You get down there. You're hanging on to 2 of his claws and just.
Yeah, like got him by the ankles. They're just like hanging down there, like, woo! Rika's, large, rippling muscles. Her kind of tattered monk dress, robes, like all just flapping behind her. She just kind of closes her eyes and enjoys it after a little while and smiles. And she starts getting tired after probably like 15 minutes, and she like just jungle gyms her way back up on top, grab a big handful of feathers, manhandling him.
As you're climbing back up, you hear a clap of thunder, even though it's a completely blue sky almost. And one of the tiny little clouds you can see as you're climbing up just around his arm joint. This cloud is starting to ripple and swirl out into a circle above you. You see it forming a much larger funnel cloud above you.
Talia tenses up and's like, okay, this is no way this is natural. Any of you know what's going on with this?
I'll start to fly lower, so if anything happens, it's kind of long fall.
Or the cloud begins descending, rippling out into almost what looks like you're looking up into the top of a tornado as it's forming. And it's coming down down on all of you.
Rika pulls herself up on top quickly and like shuffles over to Esoteric and just kind of like shakes him a little bit and says, "What's that?"
You know what a tornado is. In the few seconds of time you have to watch this cone coming down above you, you can't discern anything other than you are about to be swept away by wind. The expansion of this swirling cloud is extremely rapid and overtakes you guys, sends you, well, you can all try to grab onto Baishra, but this is extremely strong wind. You are all torn apart. I don't know what Baishra is doing at this point. Baishra, once you feel this storm hit you, everyone is torn off your back. Are you staying in your pterodactyl? I'm sorry, it's not pterodactyl. What is that form?
It's a Quetzalcoatl. If I have a place to land in this form, then yeah, I'll stay in it. But if it's too...
You don't even know which way is up anymore. None of you do. It's like being underwater, but with wind. And you just have no idea. You're being taken out in current, basically.
Yeah, in that case, I will stay in this form then.
Are we actually surrounded like by storm cloud? Like,
yep. You very quickly you lose.
Okay, what I will do is before we get separated by too much, I will use my ring of featherfall.
I mean, this is a wind pushing you. It's not the same as gravity. So you are still being whipped, but you are not being pulled as gravity by as much. Does anybody else do anything? There's like a turn before you're just flung into the woods.
I mean, I know I don't know which way's up, but am I able to discern any areas of shadow that are visible to me? Like, can I even perceive anything beyond the wind?
You may be able to. It would basically just be luck, though, because the storm cloud has dark and shadow in it, too. And you have, I mean, you're flipping around.
Right.
If you want to jump to something, it will be totally a luck roll. I mean, I would just say roll a d20 and I'll see if it makes things better or worse.
I'll do that. Sure, why not?
How high are we?
He said he was coming closer to the ground. I think you guys are probably about 100 feet off the ground, so maybe 40, 50 feet above the tree line.
And the place that I teleport to has to be within 60 feet. So
Talia teleports, adding momentum to the turning wind, and slams her head into an unforgiving branch.
Talia's, hugging her ribs and cursing.
Yeah, you are, and then you pass out from the landing.
Fuck, yeah.
Um,
Makes sense.
Obviously in a lot of pain. That's the last thing you remember. You start to hear your mother's voice singing a familiar song that she sang while she was sewing. Just very slow and rhythmic, almost swaying. Then you are more jarringly brought back by the sounds of the city. You wake up between two buildings where you've set up just a piece of wood so that it makes a little triangle and keeps the rain off you. This was your home about a year after your mother died.
Like near Smuggler's Run, down by the... You said I was up against the wall, so is that like near the southern gate, like that tip?
Yes, pretty much exactly where you are. And you are just waking up in the morning hearing the sounds of the street. You are surrounded by a little half blanket. You have your mother's old comb with you. Beautiful bone comb that you have kept. There's markings on the ground and on the wall where you have been practicing your writing. But yeah, you wake up.
We'll instinctively try to reach for where I would normally keep a weapon on my, my present self.
You do not.
Just out of instinct, and have a moment of panic when I find none. Even above and beyond just the disorientation of my surroundings of the past, because it's quite jarring, obviously. Kind of pinch myself to see if I'm.
You do see a makeshift shiv out of like a sharp rock and a handle that had been on another weapon. So you do have one. It's just not what you were expecting. You can hear the morning bells going off, and you know that the priest will be handing out food soon. You are in the southeast part of town. Okay, so you're down in the southern ward. You are up against the city walls. There's two buildings back here that are turned sideways in that make this little triangle in the rock where you have made a little bit of a home. You are
kind of resolve myself to using the knowledge I have of my past to survive in the moment until I figure out what's really going on here, because I've tested if I'm in a dream or what I take to be the common folk, old wives' tale of pinch yourself to wake up, kind of obviously there's more than that going on, but until I figure that out, I'll try to play through the motions, not knowing if I'm back in time somehow, or if I'm in a mental spell of some sort. Like she's obviously not well versed in this kind of thing, so she doesn't know what all the possibilities even are. So she's just gonna kind of maybe probably do some experiments and tests.
Sure. You are. I mean, it's almost a constant. It doesn't tell you whether it's a memory or not, but it was a constant in your memory of the time that you were just starving. You wake up in pain from how hungry you are every single day.
Okay. I double check to see if I do have any food secreted away at the moment that I've been taken back to that I could partake of.
You do not. You have a copper.
A copper. Okay. Okay.
But you do hear the church bells, and you know that at least they try to hand out food in the morning when they
How far away is that particular church from me?
less than a mile.
Okay. I will take stock of my shelter to see that it's appropriately disguised so no one tries to steal what meager possessions I have. And I'll probably keep the comb on me as well as my mother's journal, which is the two things that I have, just so that if something were to happen, they're not gone forever.
The comb's a little bit bulky, but yeah, you could like stick the handle in your pocket. It's for a bone comb. It's big. It's 5 inches wide, basically.
But yeah, I'll stick it in my pocket, and even if it sticks out, it's something I'm gonna keep on my person just in case. And I'll make my way to the church, trying to. Obviously, I'm hindered by the stature of my younger self, but I do have apparently the mindset, mentality, and at least knowledge of the skills that I have as an adult that I did not have then. Taking shortcuts I didn't know before, tricks of how to move quickly and quietly and unnoticed that I may not have yet fully developed back in the time to try to get there quickly and safely.
You've made decent time. You're taking a lot of back alleys and stuff, and trying to stay out of the main crowds of the city, which you hear the volume turning up as the day is starting. You get towards the Church of Lethander, which is the one who has served you before. They have a little gate off to their side where you see some people queuing up to go inside. Come out in an alleyway and nobody spots you. You can see there's a few boys and a few girls you know to be other street children queued up waiting. None of them seem to notice you.
Okay. I'll go get in line then. How many people are queued up?
There's four boys and 3 girls. There's 2 girls who you've met before, but they kind of don't talk to you. And then there's another little goblin girl who has a hood over her head. She sees you coming up and she says, "Hello, Talia."
I will act warily, but not unkindly, and say, "Hello again, Gob." I will kind of slide in front of the boys since they're ignoring me or hadn't seen me, so I try to slip in as if I was always there, next to Gob in line.
You stand there for a few minutes just waiting for this guy to open the gate. There's one of the priests of Lethander, skinny young guy, standing out by the gate, apparently waiting for some word to open it up for you guys. But you see a few other boys, almost men, come up and they push their way into the front of the line. 3 of them, one obviously bigger than the others. They push their way into the front of the line. The guy doesn't say anything to them. And basically, you guys are pushed back as well. Do you do anything about it?
I will probably scowl a bit to myself, and then do I remember this happening in the past? Like, is that something? Is these men butting in line? Is that something I would remember, or was it something that happened regularly that I would have written off and not paid any attention to having happened? Or
Your mind's kind of in it's in a bit of a suspended state. That's not how you're thinking. You're not thinking, "Oh, I'm walking through a memory." You are actually walking through it.
Okay.
So
I will-
while you may use some of that information from the future, it's not really consciously. It's not like, oh, I've been here before, I know what happens.
Right.
Um,
There's echoes of my current self, but really I'm my past self in this moment.
Right. So eventually, this guy gets the word. He opens up the gate and he starts handing out bowls to everybody. He hands you a bowl, hands the people in front of you. You have to walk up and say a prayer. You know that they have you come up and say a prayer every day. So you come up to this big priest with tight robes around his stomach. And he's kind of absently poking sleep out of his eyes. And he says, repeat after me. O Lathander.
O Lathander,
God of the morning.
God of the morning.
O Lathander.
O Lathander,
Progenitor of dawn.
progenitor of dawn.
All praise to Lathander.
All praise to Lathander.
From death comes life.
From death comes life.
From dark comes light.
From dark comes light.
All praise and glory comes Lathander.
All praise and glory comes Lathander.
All praise and glory. And he hands you the bowl. He says, make sure not to lose that. Basically what the rule has been is you have to eat there and then give them their bowl back and then you can go.
Okay. That means that the people that had butted in line ahead of me, they're still there eating as well.
Yeah, you know these three particular boys, they're rather disruptive. You're pretty good at hiding, so you don't have to deal with them too much, but you know the main guy is named Bren. He's given you some trouble. They've never actually like physically assaulted you, but these are they're still here as well.
Do they have any pouches about them or possessions that would be noticeable aside from their garments and the bowl that they've also received?
Yeah, you notice specifically the main guy. He has a little brown leather pouch. It's kind of on the side front by his hip, tied there. Right now he's sitting down, so it's kind of hanging off to the side. Other than that, they don't seem to have many possessions on them. It looks like one of them is carrying like a little beating stick that's maybe a foot long. Yeah, they don't. Nobody here looks particularly well put together. Definitely.
Yeah. I will continue to eat from my bowl, but I'm not going to be like just right in the middle of everything. I'm going to find a quiet corner in which to eat while I keep my eyes on Bren.
Yep.
And allow my spite to stew.
Gob takes a spot across from you. You guys are both backed into corners like cats.
Yeah.
But opposite each other.
Okay. Before I leave the dark corner where I am with her, I want to do that first. And then I want to attempt to sneak over to where Bren is and sleight of hand his pouch away.
He is sat up against a wall. He has two friends around him.
Okay.
He is in a place where it would be impossible to get over to him without them seeing. If maybe you want to follow him after he leaves, I'm sure there will be opportunities.
Yeah, I'll probably do that then. I was assuming maybe he was like being
No, he
off to the side. Okay, so he's actually being careful enough to.
all of you are a bit like street cats. You guys are all keeping one eye on each other, kind of backed up, not getting too close. Most of you aren't getting too close. You can tell who is together. There's the two girls that are together. There's three boys. There's a few other boys that are on their own. And you and Gob are kind of together.
Okay. So yeah, then just back that up, and I won't have done that. Then I misunderstood. So I will still probably do that when it's time for us to leave in order for me to follow him, but it's going to be only at that point. So I'll just go back and finish my meal for the moment.
Sure. Yeah, God doesn't even ask any questions. She just hands your bowl back to you and goes back to looking out at the other people. We're just east of Coach Street. It's down south of Coach Lane where you're at. God kind of tells you the area that she's planning on going. It's up near like Caravan and Wall, so that you know not to be in the same area. She makes a habit of kind of mentioning that to you.
Okay.
They finish up. Everybody finishes up at different times. The boys don't seem to be in any hurry, but if you're waiting for them to leave, then they leave before you, and they stay together and start heading north on the main street.
Okay. I'll give them just enough time to go so that it doesn't look like I'm immediately following them, but I'm going to keep an eye on them enough to where I can catch up while I'm under the effects of my spell to stealthily try to make my way upon them.
They're all three headed the same direction. There's a lot of people around. You're not going to have a huge amount of trouble with this. You can try to pop in. Like I said, it's on the front of his hip. So you're going to have to be a little careful about that. You're able to get up within 5 feet of them without pulling any attention. You're having to walk through crowds, and it's a series of keeping behind other people that are walking and turning your head at the right time just to look like you're not following them.
Mm.
Yeah, and you want to go for the go for the steal. You've been doing this for a year on your own. You're already pretty talented at this. You've been doing this for a while. His friend trips on him and knocks into him at the very same time you come in, and you use this little stone broken knife to just slit his purse out. And you are lost in the crowd already.
Yeah, and in fact, because of that was unforeseen, like I was going to take it anyway, but because he presented that opportunity where he bungled into him anyway, and it would have been normal for people to step on them in the crowd because of that, I will take advantage of that before I dart off. Like, give him a real good, like, kick in the ribs. Because I don't really like him very much. So then I'll dart off.
Yeah, you dart off, and you hear him yelling at his friend, "What the?"
But once I get, just out of what the kids' visual range would be, I'll stop running and just like kind of, act like I'm supposed to be there, just kind of try to blend into the crowd.
Yeah, I was just thinking, I mean, they're going to definitely notice somebody running through the midday street, but yeah, they don't take any notice of you. See a guard, but you're already in your like walking, he doesn't take any extra notice of you. And you, I guess, head back into an alley, get off the main street. I don't know.
Absolutely. Yeah, I was going to do that. And then in a worst case, I would disguise myself before I walked away, but I'd probably only do that in like an emergency scenario. Right now, things seem pretty okay, so I'm just going to dip into the alley and inspect the pouch to see what's in it.
Sure. You have a silver, 6 copper. There's a few pieces of paper wadded up with drawings on them. One, it looks like a picture of Bryn himself that has been kind of crudely drawn with charcoal. The other is a woman, an older woman. Just mainly the money that was in this. But now you have those 2 pictures as well. I don't know what you do with them, but
well, now I'm suddenly feeling bad. Yeah, so I was at first I was about to get off like feeling bad that I have his, maybe what was his mom or something like that. I probably don't care. She's had a hard year.
Just toss them.
Yeah.
Hey, but you came up. I mean, you're what, like a silver and 6 copper. You're 16 times richer than you were a minute ago.
True that. I pocket that, and then I'm going to probably head down across the Way of the Dragon towards the more coastal area of the Southern Ward to where the dock street is.
Yep.
And
Dock
yeah, and the fishing alley, because I'm going to maybe see if I can, scrounge.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. How do you feel about cats?
I like cats. Cats, I'll probably emulate some of their movements and techniques to kind of.
This is they are everywhere in this part of town. Just there's hundreds of them. And so yeah, this is probably one of your favorite parts of town. Not only can you occasionally steal a fish off where they're drying out there, but you can also see a lot of your friends hanging around trying to do the same thing. You're able to get 2 fish. You get out of there, you climb up on a little overhang that lets you jump onto a roof, and there's already cats up there waiting for you. And they all start meowing as you sit down with your fish.
I'll throw one of them to the group just to get them to stop meowing, because that's going to draw attention up here. So I'd like,
oh yeah, they start fighting over it, but they leave you alone. It's a beautiful day. It's really, really nice. It's not very often you get a full belly, but it happens occasionally. And you're enjoying the sea spray, and the cats start coming over and rubbing on you once they're done eating.
I will pet them and make sure that they're given positive attention instead of being kicked at like they probably often are.
And there's kind of a constant meowing going on around this area. Like where the last part of the city was all people, tradesmen yelling out or people moving animals through the city. This is like 90% cat noises just all over the place, and surf. That's all you can hear here.
I breathe deep though, because I kind of like the smell of the water, even if it's tainted with fish smell.
Yeah, you're probably so used to the fish smell that it's barely noticeable. You do know of well, first, is there anything you were kind of working towards overall in your life at this period? When you woke up, what was the thing that you wanted to try to have done before you went to sleep? Except for just eating.
Right. Yeah. That aside, I would say, looking for somewhere safer, or because obviously I've been in the one place for a little while, and that's dangerous, potentially dangerous. So I need to find a new place. Is probably what's on my mind. Look for even if it's not a permanent place, but a new. I need to scout out a new place that I can take shelter in. Because we've had some decent weather of late, so that's probably why I've stayed here, and it hasn't been super crucial. But one, staying in one place too long is dangerous, and 2, we might get bad weather again soon because we've had too long a streak of good weather, and I need to find somewhere I can have decent shelter. So that's what I'm gonna look for.
Which direction kind of do you go? You know that there is a lady up at the Tumbling Barmaid. It's almost across town, but she will sometimes give out soup at lunch. So you might head in that direction a little bit. But where would you be looking for a new place? Anywhere in particular?
Probably farther in north, like you were just saying. So I would be heading that direction. Maybe I'll look at a few places around that area and just to see of what their feasibility is for that kind of thing. Right, because I'll be looking explicitly for a place that where, while maybe active during the day, isn't so much at night. Maybe it's something,
Same sort of forgotten place that you kind of have already. You're just looking for something a little sturdier or just something new.
Yeah.
Yeah, you probably have learned to keep on the road a little bit, and not settle down too much in one place. You're searching all throughout this area. You don't find anything that you like better than your current home. But you do see a couple spots where if you needed to, you could find a little hole, or maybe if there's like a little extra deck on somebody's house where it goes around and they can't see it from the front door, you could kind of get under their roof and be on a built floor. So it's a place to sleep, but it's not really, hidden from the elements or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
While you are searching around, though, you see 3 boys beating up another boy in an alley. Can pretty quickly make out that this is Bryn and his friends. Their backs are to you. They have this kid down an alley against a wall. His face is towards you, but he's obviously not paying attention to you as they're kind of taking turns coming in at him.
Okay. So all 3 of them are facing him.
Correct.
They're all trying to taking turns.
They don't seem to have noticed you. But they do appear to be ganging up on someone.
Do I recognize the someone?
You do
that they're
not.
beating on? I'll kind of mumble to myself, what is it with this jerk today? Just running across it. I probably stay there for a minute debating whether I should intervene. It's not really my problem, but are there any guards about?
No, you're pretty far off the main way. This is all residential, mostly.
Okay, waylaying him or whatever. Okay, then I'm going to. Okay, so this isn't in her mind. She's justifying that this isn't so much to help the kid as it is another opportunity to get one on Bryn, especially since apparently he hasn't learned his lesson. So she's going to sneak up and attempt to strike at him.
Okay.
And the other 2 each. Basically, I want to do a flurry of blows because I'm going to hit Bryn and then I'm going to hit the other 2. Basically as a sneak attack. None of them know I'm here, so I'm going to hit each of them before they know I'm there.
You have the opportunity. None of them have noticed your presence. You do, as you get closer, notice this red-haired kid on the ground getting kicked by one of the other kids.
And the intent was I was going to try to knock all of them out before they even knew I was here, but I don't think I can reach quite all 3 of them, so probably these 2 and then go from there, I guess.
3 quick attacks that you have been practicing.
Then I'll start with Bryn.
You get a solid strike in on him to start it out. Catch him in the kidney. Just by luck, he happened to be kind of sliding away from you, so you didn't hear anything give or break, but you got a good strike in. He is still barely up. You gave him 3 quick strikes, one to the back of the head that really seems to have dazed him, but he's down on one knee, and his friends have kind of just realized what's happening. This kid who was on the ground he looks dazed as well, the kid they were beating up, and he doesn't look like he's quite ready to start helping you, but he's getting his wits together now that they've stopped kicking him. And then it's going to be their turns. The first guy, this guy over to your right, he takes a strike at you, misses. The guy over to your left.
Super misser.
These guys are okay. They're so thrown off by the fact that you just kind of appeared out of nowhere and then started just wailing on their friend who they're kind of scared of. And he's already down on one knee, and they just turn around, they take 2 swipes at you that just not even close. You see him regaining consciousness, the guy on the ground. Yeah, back to you, Talia. Bren was so affected by that opener that he hasn't even had time. He hasn't even responded yet.
Okay. I'm going to focus on the guy that is able to respond currently since Bryn's out for the moment.
You incapacitate one and switch over to one of his cronies.
I'm trying to keep my guard up to my left so that Bryn doesn't take advantage of it, so I'm probably sticking to the right-hand side. It's kind of a rising block that's a strike to the neck to try to kind of do it like an uppercut type that serves as both a block and a strike.
You catch him at the bottom of his jaw, and you hear the snap of his teeth hitting together. You're not sure if anything broke in there, but yeah, he just looks pissed off now.
And since now that should have opened his guard up, I'm going to hit his trunk, or try to.
Go for it.
One.
Yep. Second one, he just dodges right out of the way. He didn't get dazed so much as just hurt by the jaw shot, so he was ready for the second one.
Okay. And knowing that he's going to be expecting a follow-up, I don't give it to him. I lash out with my left foot to hit Bryn in the head.
Nice. He's like leaned down over his knee, and you just punch his friend twice, and then fucking turn around and kick him in the face.
Yeah, that was what I am aiming right in the face, kind of trying to break his nose, knock him out at the same time.
Yeah, he part of his like the instinctual reaction of the body tries to push itself away from your kick, and he ends up basically contributing to the kick to his face. The blood sprays out, and he jumps backwards and lands on the ground. Just a spray of blood coming out over him.
I give kind of a wicked grin and turn back to the person that just dodged my right to reassert my attention.
Yep. He sees this happening, but he's pissed now. This guy right up next to you, who you caught in the jaw.
Mm-hmm. I'm just kind of grit my teeth and like stiffen my abs to absorb the blow as much as possible and try to not let it wind me. And
yeah, he felt that one land, and he gets back into a position ready because he knows you're about to come in with some quick hits on him again. But he definitely felt his knuckles on that one. The other guy picks up a stick off the side of the road and tries to hit you with it. Lands.
ouch. Ow. That stick fucking hurt.
Catches you in the back of the head as you're fighting his friend. You hear muffled sounds, yelling, and it all starts kind of blurring together. And you're out.
I had 2 hit points left.
All right, then it all starts blurring together, and you come back.
No, I could see my head getting blurry. Like, no, that makes total sense. Like, he hit me really hard, so I probably would have, like, kind of...
Yeah, you're able to... You've been hit hard before. You're able to kind of grasp on and just hold on to consciousness. You very easily could let it go, but you come back very, very much in pain. But you're back. And it's back to your turn as well.
Okay. Question in regard to, do I have sneak attack yet? I know they won't have applied to my unarmed strikes that I've been using up to now, but I was debating drawing that little, like, woodstone shiv thing that I had and try to use that as a dagger and try to do a sneak attack with it, but I wasn't sure if I actually had that yet. So
this dagger is not really. It will do in a pinch. It looks like it's probably going to break after you stab somebody with it, but
kind of my worry in my head is like I could do that, but if it breaks, I'm just right back where I started. So should I even bother, kind of thing. So I'm
it's probably It looks like it's like held together with twine, and it's a one-time use type thing. But if this is the use, go for it.
Well then, one time for that, I will lash out at the guy that, like, just blindly almost, I'll reach for it and like swing back to the left to try to catch the person that hit me with the stick, basically just to ward him away.
He's trying to flank you with his friend.
I swing left and try to like just catch him with it.
Yeah, like a backhand.
Yeah.
That'll hit. Where do you stab him?
I don't know that she even knows. Like I said, it's kind of a blind. Like, I drew it and just swung my arm back, trying to, like, I know he's back there,
Okay.
hit me in the head, so maybe he slashed him across the chest or something. Or
Oh, yeah, you cut through his shirt as you like slide across, and it just cuts straight into his chest. You get like a half an inch deep. Yeah, he's like bleeding. He looks down just in horror as blood starts coming out of his chest.
and I'll use for the other two attacks. I'm
You got two more.
The guy on the front here, since like I did that just to get the guy away, and I don't know if I'm pretty sure it's effective because I met that resistance, but my focus has been on the guys in front of me, so I'll put the other two there.
Yep, and again, Brent is out of. He actually is like on his back over here. Okay, how do you knock him out?
I was swept his leg out from under him, so he kind of like falls back and like the net breath knocked out of him and hits the back of his head on the concrete to knock him out, so that I can like with the sweep kind of turn my body around to face the guy behind me, you know. So I'm like I sweep the one guy out from under him and then end up facing the guy behind me at the end of the motion.
Sweet.
And I will lash out with the final blow against that guy who's still reeling from the blood and stuff, and just kind of like do a strike to the solar plexus with a jab.
Yeah, you have one more strike.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, okay. No, he still has one hit point.
I'm breathing heavily at this point because that took a lot out of me, especially after getting hit so hard. So I'm just kind of, I didn't have it all in me as I would have normally liked. So I'm sitting here crouched, breathing heavily, and got my eyes trained on him.
You hear from behind you, this guy runs up real quick, fucking stomps down on this guy's leg, trying to bend it sideways. As he's looking at his chest and he just got hit again, he's just got cut. This kid who was getting beat up runs up and just tries to kick at him and fucking lands it. You hear a snap and the guy's leg goes sideways and they're all knocked out on the ground.
Nice.
And this guy's just breathing like to himself, just kind of barely conscious. It's a kid about probably a little bit older than you, maybe 15, 16, something like that. Red hair. And he says, "Oh, thanks for the help."
I'll breathe out raggedly and say, I would say no problem, but it was kind of a problem. We got to get out of here. We can't.
Yeah. I live nearby. Come with me.
Oh,
come on.
Okay.
He starts just kind of jogging, but he's obviously like pulling himself back from being so dazed. He walks inside of a building, and you get inside and you see that it's a dojo, about 30 feet by 45 feet, hardwood floors. There's two people meditating in the side of the room, and Haritsu just falls to the ground. Oddly enough, he's like breathing out really hard, and the people meditating aren't really reacting. So you're not entirely sure what this place is yet.
Yeah, I'll kind of like whisper through clenched teeth, kind of hissing, like, "Where did you bring these people? We're going to get in so much trouble. There's better places to hide."
He just laughs to himself. He's like, "Oh, I haven't got my ass handed to me like that in a long time. I shouldn't have let him take the first shot."
What are you talking about?
This is my home. I'm Haritsu. He holds out his hand, but he doesn't stand up.
I will warily give him my hand.
Sit down. Thank you for the help. We're safe here. We're safe here for now, at least.
I will sit with my back to a wall, I guess. Just kind of paranoid and trying to keep the people that still haven't stirred from their meditation in my, out of my peripheral, while I'm focusing on this guy and kind of like sitting in Seiza on my knees so I can make a quick escape and like by hopping my feet if I need to.
Yeah, you. It seems this is really the quietest place you've been all day. I could see it being a little bit eerie for you. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I'm kind of like looking about, but trying to always bring my eyes back to the people in the room with, again, my back to the wall and going, okay, this is fucking weird.
He goes, he looks like he's catching his breath now, and he's like, hey, thank you very much for the help.
I'll mention it, Brent's a douchebag, so any opportunity to take him down a few pegs is fine by me, especially.
Right. I know this guy. He's been hanging around here a lot lately. Last time I fought him, I didn't give him such a fair chance. This time, I guess I just lost on the first blow. But I appreciate you helping me out. Do you want to like stay for dinner or something?
She'll perk up at the the offer of food and be like,
I smell something upstairs, and he starts heading towards the back of the dojo. There's some stairs back at the back of there. Do you follow?
Tentatively, yes. Like, she seems too good to be true, and she's sure she's going to get in trouble any second. But like, it's also kind of food on the one hand, and the other,
you can smell it. It smells really, it smells really tasty. Much better than what they gave you this morning at the.
Yeah, absolutely. And then between that and just the uniqueness, the oddity of the place, like she's just intrigued. So she's just off guard and just kind of going along with it, just out of curiosity almost, despite her paranoia.
Yeah, you very, very carefully just take a few steps. Nobody seems, the two guys meditating in the corner, they don't react. Take a few more steps. You eventually get to the back of the room and follow him upstairs. You fall into wet soil. You look up to see the empty souls of 1,000 dead trees screaming. Pine trees 300 feet tall, slowly burning alive. One by one, they are plucked from this plain, dying under an assault of liquid fire. You can just make out a red shape through the haze of light that sends mist scattering to the sky. Once the dissonance dies away, the last few voices, though horribly, ring so that a perfect harmonic occurs between them. A note, vaulted high above any of them individually like a gymnast. It is the purest sound you've ever heard, and you feel yourself weeping though you have no body. Before they too, in the slow magma's trail, are silenced. This vision goes on for some time, and you actually find yourself getting quite bored before the scene shifts. Like some sort of fish, but not shaped like a fish. It's basically just straight, like I said, with that weird spine on its back. The scene shifts. You hear Say's voice. Your older brother. Rika, wake up. You feel a pillow hit you. And you hear say again, brother's starting. You wake up and your eyes are totally dark, and you realize you have a book pressed against your face from where you went to sleep.
What? Who's that? Who is that? I rub my eyes.
Get downstairs, we're starting, Say yells back.
What?
As you remove the book from your eyes, you appear to be back in your room. At home. Nin's bed is across the way. And he's probably calling you down. Ken must be starting his warm-ups this morning, is what Say is talking about.
Okay, I guess I put my book. I kind of not sure what to do. I'm kind of concerned, but what book am I reading? Or was I reading?
Heliotropes, a common mystery.
I'll put my book, I guess, on my nightstand and kind of like look at what I'm wearing.
You're still wearing your karate pants from yesterday. A very loose white, simple cloth. And then you have a tank top on. You are considerably younger. This is a few years back.
Okay, so I'm not wearing what I'm used to, what I was wearing in my dream, right?
No, not even close.
Okay. I guess I'll, and you said, is this pajamas or training clothes? You said it was like a tank top, so.
Yeah, it's like right in between.
Okay, I guess I'll go into my closet and change clothes.
Well, what do you train in?
That's a good question.
I said
probably
gi pants.
Yeah.
And then this happens fall.
It makes sense to sleep in a tank top, and then I'll put on like my geese shirt over it. Make sure my breasts are strapped in good and tight if I'm going to go out and exercise in the morning.
It's a pretty cool day, so having the gi on is actually kind of nice.
Okay. So I pulled my hair back with some hair ties that I play on my nightstand, and just head on downstairs.
Yeah, you get
like
to
just clap, 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 real fast, just like a kid.
You're making all this noise as you come down the stairs, and everyone's looking at you as you reach the bottom of the stairs, which is most of your brothers. Kenyaku's there, Kokoro isn't there, Sei is there, Horitsu is not there. But there's also about 6 other kids who you know who have been around learning. Kenyaku is actually teaching the class, and all of these people are looking at you at the bottom of the stairs.
I just kind of smile. I just wave and smile, I suppose, and I head downstairs and take my place in the line and do some quick stretches.
Yeah, he's running everybody through stuff like that. A few other people trickle in after you. Not making quite as much of an entrance, but you weren't the last of the table. Kenyaku runs you through just basic katas that you always go through at the beginning of the day, and then you switch off into little groups, and you're fighting with Nentai, your slightly older sister, tied back brown hair, super serious. Actually does like a flurry of blows things that she's been practicing on is what she's working on. A little bit of flair from Nentai. She's always like in a shitty mood in the morning, so when you have to be her partner, it's extra painful. But Kenyaku's walking around the class correcting things in pairs. You get through the next couple of hours without serious injury. And Kenyaku calls an end to the class. And he says, Father will be down in a few minutes for those of you who are staying for afternoon lessons. Very serious, he goes and sits in a corner of the room and begins to meditate. Nentai says, all right, I'll see you later. She heads back upstairs. Different people are wandering off to do their own things.
There's nothing like mentally affecting me right now, right? I don't have any like fading memories of anything. I'm so clear-headed, right?
Yes.
It's a nice fall day. I'd probably go out I'd find out the quiet place and start my meditation.
If you were going out, would you have changed your dress?
Yeah, probably, definitely. It would be like a non-tattered version of like the kind of like Chinese dress that I wear now. Yeah.
Sure. I mean, it's a really busy city at about 11 o'clock in the morning. It's
Oh.
finding a quiet spot. You're in the Sea Ward of Waterdeep. You know this area extremely well.
I mean, she'd probably have places that she was used to meditating.
You know of multiple roofs around here where you still hear the hum of the city, and you'll occasionally hear somebody yelling up, or mule, donkey, or horse. It's absolutely incredible weather. A little bit chilly, but really it just feels the sun and the just slight cold together, mixed with the sea air. You find your meditation restful. Getting on towards afternoon.
All right. Then I will probably head home because that's where I should probably be. I'll find a way to try to sneak in without being caught.
You get back about an hour later. Kenyaku is still meditating. Your father has not started up afternoon lessons. If you head back to your room, you'll find Nentai. She's there reading scripture, her Lathander stuff. Doesn't take a particular notice as you enter the room.
Okay. I'll probably raid the kitchen.
What do you want?
I will look for sticky buns.
We're out of sticky buns, but you know where you could go to get some. The tumbling barmaid right down the street has excellent sticky buns.
Okay, then that's where I'll go.
Yeah. You go in there, you meet a much younger Celeste who you met there before or after, whatever. Yeah. She greets you and she says, "Yeah, just give me a few minutes and I'll do that for you. Do you want something to drink while you wait?"
Just water, please.
She goes about getting together a basket, which she brings out of sticky buns. She says, "Tell your father I said hi."
Sure. Yeah, I will do that. How do you know my father?
After you pay her, you have about 2 silver left.
I guess I eat my food and try. I mean, it's the middle of the afternoon, so it's probably not very busy here, I guess. Like, it's not like a nighttime kind of a crowd. She's not really even supposed to be out of the house very much, so. And she doesn't really have any friends out here, so she's probably just, like, this is the only place she ever goes.
So maybe she took the buns back to her room to read.
I will hide the buns so that my siblings do not know that I have them. And I will try to sneak them into the house so I can spoil my dinner.
Make a stealth check on getting past Kenyaku as he's meditating with the buns. "Give me a bun." He yells at you and opens one eye.
I freeze.
"I'll tell the others."
I look around quickly to make sure that nobody's listening, and then I kind of like tiptoe over to him quietly and open up the bag very slowly so it doesn't make any noise. And then I pull out a bun.
He snatches it out of your hand.
Oh, I was only going to give him that. It's just quickly, like, my mouth is just agape, but before I think better and then put the bag behind my back so he can't get it anymore. And then I start, like, walking backwards.
He closes his eyes and goes back into meditation as he's munching. Nintai, again, she's looks to be kind of looking into her own book stuff. Probably has something to do with the church. I don't know. What's Rika interested in? What, like, if she had to pick up a book, what would it be? What's her
she's usually reading, like, probably adventure.
Oh.
And romance. Yeah, she reads, like, stuff that's not entirely educational. But sometimes, you know, myths and legends seep into her, you know, peripheral knowledge accidentally.
Okay, you're reading a story about Shar and Saloon. It's kind of a creation myth mixed with some of the lesser gods that have split off. She starts out with there being no sun, and Shantae says to Saloon, the scene shifts. A dimpled cloud layer, I guess would be a better way to put that, over a plain. And the clouds are like waving down as if they're moving up and down like the ocean. It looks like an upside down ocean is what it looks like. It's rippling like that. And you see some of these ripples come out and strike at the ground as tornadoes. They hit the ground and then they go back up as if they were jumping from the water down to the earth. They crash and then they are sucked back up into it. You see on this plain there are fields of men trying to cross it. You see as one of these tendrils of wind comes down and strikes into a legion of men and sends hundreds of them spinning off before retracting back up into the skies. It seems like you are watching this all from slightly above, as if you're flying here. The rest of that square of humans that you're watching from above scatters out completely without shape.
So I'm above but below the rippling water sky. I'm above them but below the rippling water sky. How far away is the tornadoes from me? Are they a danger?
It seems like they're a bit random. They pop out, they make one huge impact on the ground. You can see a lot of the planes have been ripped up in spots. It almost looks like cannonballs have landed there. The scene shifts. You see a great tropical peninsula. Again, you're watching from above. You're about 150 feet up in the air. But it's huge. It almost looks like a continent, covered in foliage, wide-leaved bush. There's also a portion of it that's plain, and you can see there are groups of animal, like what you would think of as kangaroos, hopping across this plain. But you can tell on one side, this tropical peninsula has just been... There's a line, and everything from that line forward is black, has been burned to the ground. And there's nothing left on that part of the island. You can also see some orange flames licking up into the trees. The scene shifts. You see familiar city gates, not water deep, but you have been through Baldur's Gate before and you know the city gates. You see a line of energy, a snake probably 200 feet long, snaking through the air as fire. And it rubs up against the sides of these walls and lights anything on the walls on fire. It crashes down on top of the battlements, burning men alive, leaving them as charred corpses. The scene shifts. You are back in your room. You have just read the piece by Shar. Or the piece about that myth. You hear your father start giving afternoon lessons downstairs.
Okay, I'll head down there.
Sure.
Make sure my sticky buns are hidden. Still have my sticky buns? Or have I eaten them?
Well, you were probably reading for another hour there. Yeah, you've gone through as many as you would have liked to. She gave you about 12. I think she gave you enough for the whole family. And you've probably eaten how many?
Half of them.
6. And you gave one away.
Yeah.
So what, are you going to hide them before you go downstairs?
Yeah. Definitely.
You put them under your blanket. Nentai doesn't say anything as you leave the room. Head down, you see your father, Kieran, wide. He looks like he's got some pudge on him, but he also looks very muscular, very grounded in his stance before the class. He says, "You're late. Get in line." And he runs you through some stuff he has purposefully laid out. But you've been through it so many times, it's a bit like going through the motions. He will help you work on something after that, though, if you would like to. He takes pretty much everybody aside individually and gives them advice on what they need to be working on. If not...
do I remember the weird dream I just had?
Nope.
Okay.
You're getting through the end of that session. You have now done 6 hours of training today. You're kind of exhausted. Do you do anything for the evening?
Well, I'll probably go pick on my little brother.
You have not seen him today. You would have to go out looking for him.
I will ask Kenyaku.
Kenyaku stirs from his meditation long enough to say, "No, I haven't seen him today."
How about, is Reyna here?
You have not seen Reyna today. No. She might be back in her room, though. Her room is in the back of the house, and you haven't really checked there.
Okay, I'll go try to sneak into her room.
She is there in her autumn eladrin. Dark auburn, I guess would be a good way to put it. Hair, dark eyes, thin. She looks at you as you enter up from a book that she is reading. And she says, "Rika, what did you need?"
Reyna, have you seen Haritsu today?
No, I haven't seen him since... She thinks back. Since last night dinner. Did you need something?
Just kind of like absentmindedly kind of like walk over and just start like playing with her stuff. You know, just whatever is interesting in hand. Because I'm a child. I was just kind of bashful around her, I guess.
Yeah.
No, I'm just looking for Haritsu and thought I'd come ask you.
She goes back to reading her. She lets you do what you like in her room, but she goes back to reading her book.
Very tempted to this and like knock something over and just run away, but I stop myself because I think she's maybe being nice. So I think I'll go sit beside her and see what she's reading.
She is reading a philosophy book talking about the nature of morality. Seems pretty dry. It's long-winded. This is like the most dry reading you could possibly do. Have you interest in the arts now? She says to you. I could loan you the book once I finished.
Oh. No, I'd turn my nose up and go, nope, no thank you. This is boring. You should read some of my books.
Once you grow up a little bit, maybe you will enjoy it more.
I have this one book where there's this princess, and she goes and starts trying to stop the dragons from taking over the world. And she has this glowing sword. It's a lot better than this one.
Goes back to reading.
I get restless and kind of slip away.
Sure. Same thing. She doesn't really notice you leave either. I mean, she notices you leave, but she doesn't acknowledge it.
I give her a hug. I like kind of run back from the doorway and give her a big hug before I leave.
She smiles and she pats you. She just looks very pensive. She's thoughtful. It could be interpreted as sad, but it's not. But she holds on to you for a second and then lets you go.
I probably go find Father. What's he up to? I think he's feeling a little left out.
Actually, Father is meditating where Kenyaku was. Kenyaku has left, or is not there at least. He's doing his post-workout meditation. But you know it's not, as long as you don't do it too jarringly, he doesn't mind being bothered. He's not alone in there. He does have a couple of like intermediate students towards the back of the room meditating as well.
Oh, I probably shouldn't bother him if he's meditating then. I guess I'll just kind of sit in the doorway and just like watch him for a few seconds and then slowly close the door.
Well, you came downstairs. There's no door in between the stairs and the dojo.
Oh, okay.
It's just dojo and then stairs, and then upstairs is the home area. And your room is kind of in the middle of that home area. Reina's is toward the back. If you're just waiting for him, he will eventually come out of that. And say, well, your sister's supposed to be coming over with some food in a little bit. Make sure you get your siblings in here. But he kind of looks out the door and looks up at the sky, and he's like, she'll be here soon.
I guess I'll gonna go get some fresh air. What time is it? You said it's late, right? It's like at nighttime.
It's late afternoon.
Oh, okay. Not that late then.
Not too late. 5 o'clock. Yeah,
And they're in the dojo meditating right now, right?
Yeah, he just came out of the meditation long enough to tell you to get your brothers or get your siblings for dinner.
My dinner is ruined, of course, so I will kind of trudge upstairs and try to find everybody. I'll start with Reina since I know where she is.
Yep, the only one's missing is Haritsu.
Okay.
Everybody else has come back by now. Well, no, Kinyaku's not there, but he's like 100 years old, so he's not really your responsibility.
Okay, I guess I'll just call everybody to dinner and let them figure it out.
Okay.
Rick is just like, it's kind of their response. It's kind of up to them to worry about this sort
Yeah,
of thing.
you just walk upstairs and you're like, hey, everybody, Kokoro's coming over with dinner. You know, whoever comes around, that's their business. Eventually, your halfling sister, Kokoro, shows up with a big pot of stew that it looks like she has already taken half out of for her family, but she came over to drop some off for you guys. She gives you a hug around your knees after she sets the bowl down. She gives a hug to everybody else, and everybody just starts climbing in around the table. The scene shifts. You, again, are above a city. This time you recognize the city as Waterdeep, except there is a huge portion of the northern part of the city that is black and crumbled. No clues as to what did it, but it looks almost like a triangle from the northern part of the city coming in that just is ash. There's a few like bones of buildings coming up out of the ash, but there's almost nothing there. The scene shifts. You see a talon of a dragon foot. The claw is about 30 times your height. The foot is maybe 50 times your height. The creature is so large you can't even make out. You can see like dark lines where snake-like heads are coming out of the front of this four-legged creature. It's so large that your mind has trouble comprehending it. You know this is Tiamat. You look behind you, and you see the armies of men just breaking. And you realize there was never any chance.
What? Can I see my body?
You cannot see your body right now, no. You can feel your body, but it feels weightless. It's a weird sensation. The scene shifts. You see a black circle. The scene shifts. You're obviously in a graveyard. And this old woman in black looks over and says, "Who are you?" And you look down and your body's not there. Your body's still not there.
Wait, you can see me? Who are you?
What a stupid question. Of course I can see you.
Where are we?
How do you not know?
I don't know how I got here.
We are in the graveyard district. I seem to remember your face from something, she says. This older woman, got like a wart on her nose. You must be here spiritually, or something of the sort. Here, come inside. And she pulls a key out of her robes, turns around, and as she holds it up, a house starts to appear around where the keyhole is. And she opens the door. She says, come in, come in. She walks in the house.
I'll go with her.
The scene shifts. You see a battlefield of demons flash briefly before you rise to consciousness, just barely, and your body is so sore. Look down, and you are in the woods again. You're more tired than you may have ever been before. Everything on you is in pain. You see your father standing at the edge of the glade that you're in. This is your present body and your present mind.
What? What? I say as I slowly grab my head and kind of sit up.
He holds his hand out to the side. He's looking out into the darkness of the glade. So you're just seeing the back of him. He holds out his hand and he says, rest. I did not mean to bring us here, but I think I can still protect us.
How hurt am I? I try to run to him.
You are not in running shape. You are not broken.
Okay.
You don't have any broken limbs, so you could move, but barely.
I stand up and stumble forward and kind of fall to the ground, holding my head, or kind of grab my head and roll it to my back. Yeah, I just kind of repeat father and just kind of whisper father. Just fall asleep again.
Rika has just grabbed dinner from her older sister, Kokoro. Rika, you see Haritsu, this little red-haired kid. He comes up and he's just beat the fuck up. Like blood running down one of his eyes. A little bit on the sides of his mouth. You can see his teeth are red.
Ed, what's wrong? What's wrong?
He kind of gives you a smile. He said, I've just been fighting. And right behind him, you see a half wood elf, half drow.
Half drow. So technically full elf, but obviously mixed. And
come through the door behind him, looking just about as beat up as him. He says, well, she kind of, helped me out a little bit. But I had it for the most part, Haritsu says.
Well, good job.
I'll speak up at that point because I've been, wary of these new individuals, not knowing where he was leading me or to whom he was leading me. So I'm fairly small in stature still. Had it my ass. They were beating the shit out of you 3-on-1, and you weren't doing a damn thing till I came in and knocked out 2 of them.
You see everyone sitting around a table except you guys. You guys are over near the door talking. She can fight pretty well. I thought she might, want some lessons from Dad. Come on. And he gestures to you, Talia, and grabs you a bowl and starts ladling you out.
So there's food,
Yeah, he gives you a bowl. Everybody seems to be sitting down this long table. Kieran, ash brown skin, little bit pudgy but strong, graying, black hair, wood elf. Even you would probably know this is if a wood elf is gray haired, they're hundreds and hundreds of years old. It's like an ancient tree. He greets you and he says, "Hey, hello, I hear you saved my son. Is that what happened?" And Haritsu spits.
She's looking very confused right now because this is obviously a human boy, and then this really old elf that the like of which I've not seen before, but no,
Please, anyone who fights for my family can sit with me. And he puts his arm out beside him. And, well, you will eventually know it's Reyna, but this autumn Eladrin girl with red-brown hair. She looks back at you, dark, thin eyes, small mouth, and she moves over one and she says, "Yes, of course. Sit between."
Ricky's just got her hands on her hips, just like staring. Still, I guess we were in the doorway, right? Whenever she came.
Right, and now everybody's kind of moving over towards the table as they get food.
And everybody's just like okay with Talia being here.
Apparently. It's like
Talia's not really okay with Talia being here. There's just food, so she's gonna eat it because she's hungry and nervous.
Are you stuffing your pockets full of biscuits?
Are you like checking
Don't judge
her
me.
out right now? Is that your first reaction? You're thinking she's stealing from you?
I'm totally stealing. I'm totally packing my pockets full of biscuits if there are any.
So far, you've kind of been the center of attention.
Like, I'm not even trying to hide that I'm doing it. I'm just doing it.
Yeah, he says, "Sit down. Who are you?" This is Kieran. Haritsu comes and sits on the other side of Kieran, on the other side of the table. You're sitting between Kieran and Reyna.
I'll just shrug, kind of nonchalantly, like it's just not a big deal who that I am, kind of impression, and just say, just some street rat.
Well, you are a fighter. If you were able to, did you do that to him, or is that something?
Yeah, him? No.
And he says, "Dad, no, I pretty much had it handled. They got one lucky shot off." And Kieran says, yeah, you probably weren't keeping up your inside guard. And Haritsu just kind of tweaks and doesn't say anything.
Rika slowly closes the door and latches it. Rika kind of slowly steps over, just like suspiciously, of the new person suddenly welcome at the table. Not that this is entirely unusual around the household, but...
By the way, I'm totally like, if I'm having to answer a question, I'm talking with my mouth full because I have, like, no fucks about table manners at the moment, just because if there's food and I have an opportunity to get it, I'm going to eat it.
Yeah, you get the feeling he has seen this before. He very calmly sits, not necessarily eating himself. He's just kind of it seems more like he's waiting. Yeah, so Rika, do you stay standing up this whole time? Actually, Reyna is reading a book off towards the side. She has her book offset next to her, is what I mean. Okay, so you do end up sitting down.
Yeah.
Haritsu says, "Rika, you're looking kind of fat. Are you sure you should be eating that?"
I'll take it. I'll go to grab her bowl and drag it over from me.
Oh, I think that might require a check.
No, Rika lets her. Rika already spoiled her dinner with sticky buns.
That's a good point.
She just kind of like, she takes some food and hits him with it. It was Haritsu, right?
Yeah, it was Haritsu.
I hit him with a piece of biscuit.
You hit him right in one of his bruises. He scowls. "So, what was your name again?" Haritsu says. This is after they've kind of waited a little while for you to eat. This is your second bowl you're getting into.
Talia. My name is Talia.
Well, it's nice to meet you, Talia. Thank you for helping my son.
You're welcome. I can't take too much credit on the moral inspiration behind my actions. I honestly just wanted to take an opportunity to stick
I'm
it
on-
to Ren.
I'm honestly more interested in your fighting capability. That's what we do here. We teach the people of this area to fight.
Oh, I've seen this place
If you took
before,
someone
but
my son could not, then perhaps we should spar.
she looks down at herself and wonders at her current condition to be doing such. But
Oh, he laughs. He laughs. Not today. Not today. Why don't you have your parents come bring you by next time you are in the area?
her face will darken. It's like, yeah, well, yeah, we might come by.
Excellent. I shall be expecting you.
What are your hours here? She's kind of fishing at this point, trying to figure out like what the security situation is like and understand when they're here and when they're not.
Anytime during the day is fine. We just finished up our last lessons about 30 minutes ago.
I
So
see.
anytime before that.
And the lessons are just hosted downstairs then, where those two men were.
Oh, yes.
I don't know what-
They're still down there. Yeah, it's open for regular users. But you just knock on the door and someone will let you in.
Sounds interesting.
I don't think they're ever going to be confused about if I'm not wrong, a partial wood elf.
She will look at him, surprised at his recognition, and yes, my mother was a wood elf, or is. She catches herself. My mother is a wood elf.
Huh, so are all of theirs. Reyna, you can see her studying your face now that he has brought up the fact that you're part wood elf as well. She didn't seem to have noticed it, and now she's like just very pensive as she looks over the features of your face.
I'll say that's not. I'll kind of self-deprecatingly chuckle. It's like that's not usually the features that people pick out when they look at me. Kind of sheepishly rubbing the back of her head.
Oh, I've met a few drow in my day. Usually the fact they're not in their home means they're probably not as bad as people think they are.
Being the minority and thinking so.
How was Talia dressed?
Oh, just complete rags. She's like fully clothed, like she's not naked or like in danger of being immodest or anything, but it's no finery. It's
I think you would have kind of a tunic, a long tunic
yeah.
that you always had, and then you would have like pair of shorts, maybe. Something like that.
Yeah, they're probably shorts now. They were once trousers, but they've been
Right.
away, and I've had to cut them off to, so I didn't get caught on something. So they're
Yeah.
kind of
So she's kind of tomboy looking ish.
yeah. I've got a small, kind of like a rope twine belt and a pouch that I keep my most important valuables in. That's not large, but holds a couple of things.
Rika is she's just sitting there with her hand her face resting on her hand, just kind of watching everything happen around her because she's not hungry. I will go upstairs and I will grab her some of my clothes if she was the same size. I'll grab her like some of my like workout gis. Like I go upstairs like while they're eating, and then I come down with the bag of sticky buns and the gi kind of like wrapped up with a little string.
Just
And I
kind
just
of,
kind of like
do you
hand it to her.
Awkwardly, like we barely talked, you're just gonna shove it in my face. I'm like,
Kieran kind of pats you on the side as he sees you do this, but he's the only one who sees you do it. She hands you off in between you and Kieran. Kieran, yeah,
I mean, I'll take them because I'm not having turning down free stuff, but I'm also like just surprised and kind of a little bit in shock. So not sure how to react because not expected, and also kind of wondering like what I'm going to do with it. Like, how can I keep it safe? Where do I put it? So it's kind of all running through my head. Not really able to process much of it.
yeah. Kieran says, "Eat, eat. We've got all this stew for no. It shouldn't go to nothing." And he sits back and just kind of waits again. You wake up, you're in a den, a really smelly, small den, and you're about 2 weeks old. You are in this little, it looks like tree roots, like big oak roots. You are underneath them in a little hole in the ground with 5 siblings. There's 3 males, one is bigger than you, and there's larger female and smaller female. Right before you got here, the middle female sister was taken by a pterodactyl. Your mother yelled "run" and led you into this hole where she put leaves above you, and you've been in this hole for 3 days, almost starving at this point.
Okay.
Your biggest brother has started bullying your smallest sister and stealing her food. He's kind of started looking over in your direction as well, but you are one of the larger targets. And so he hasn't fully tried to attack you or anything yet. Your mother's returned once and she brought you like a sloth-like monkey. And you also know the taste of some small lizards. But mainly you're just hanging out in here waiting for her in this disgusting smell of 5 children for 3 days.
Okay, so we're just hanging out here, eating and waiting, I assume?
Waiting, being hungry. Yeah, you only have what your mom brings back or has brought back so far.
Yeah, I guess I'll make sure the older sibling doesn't try to fuck with my shit. Nor do I prevent him from fucking with the younger one's shit, just because if that does happen, then it's going to target me as well.
There's really just not enough to go around at this point. Everybody's been getting hungrier for days. And so he just doesn't even have anything to fight for. Everybody's just trying, I think you're all trying to save your energy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, conserve energy. Wait it out.
Yeah, when you begin hearing the leaves that were put over the top of this little hole, these wide leaves, you begin to hear them being taken off.
Okay.
And the sunlight coming through. And the sound of your mother laughing outside.
I guess if we hear laughing, I'll emerge from the den.
Your brother tries to push you down and get out ahead of you. Yeah, he pushes you back down into the hole, kind of pumps his shoulders and climbs up through the hole first just to make sure. Also pushes back on his youngest sister with his foot again, and then climbs up out of the hole. And so you come up behind him, and your mother and her sister are out. And she says, "Come. and they start walking off into the trees.
I guess I'll go.
You don't see too much because you're really short. The wide-leafed bush blocks your view of the high palms, barely a sky. And it's mainly just this low cover. But eventually she leads you on. You and all of your sisters follow after you, your sisters and brothers. Except for the biggest one who's on up ahead. You actually see it before you smell it. This huge creature your mom leads you to it's an ankylosaurus. The shell is on the far side, and on this side it's just been opened up from the chest. The chest has been pulled back to one side. Your brother immediately runs ahead and tries to jump in there and starts eating off the flesh. You see your mother go sit with her sister off to the side and kind of lazily watch you guys.
If you're hungry and starving, I definitely would eat.
You could tell your mother's been off a little bit as you were walking. She's keeping an eye out. And you're not sure what it's for. You assume maybe that big flying thing that took your sister, maybe that's what she's looking out for, and you kind of take a look at the sky sometimes too, just because something like that is very leaves an imprint on you, changes your behavior. But she eventually starts getting more and more worried as you're over there just plowing into this meat. It's amazing. It's the best thing ever. You've never smelled meat like this before, and it's like heaven. And you're just surrounded. It's like a room. It's like 100 times bigger than you. A cavern of this creature that you're just eating out of. It's, for a starving person, it's heaven. Your mom and her sister start making this like shriek that means like come to me.
Yeah, and I'll stop and head towards her.
Well, okay. Just automatically?
Yeah.
Yeah, a couple of your brothers both stay back, but your sisters actually follow you out towards your mom. And your mother looks very worried at this point. She quickly counts over you, realizes you're not there, and her sister jumps in the carcass and comes and grabs both of the other kids. And she says, "Come." You start heading out of this wood away from the carcass, and you see behind you coming in a lot of lizard men and, well, actually lizard women mostly, coming in and starting to eat off this carcass. They give looks over in your direction, but nobody comes over, and your mother seems to be just dragging you away. Do you put up any resistance? Or?
No, I mean, they're bigger than I am.
Yeah, they're a lot bigger than you are.
Yeah, so I mean, I would not fuck with someone that could potentially kill me, especially at 2 weeks age.
You follow your mom, and she's dragging you away from this group, and they are like, you hear immediately bones start cracking and flesh start tearing in large amounts. Like, you can hear this through the forest as you're walking away. You then hear the sounds of thump, 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 thump. Your mother freezes. All of the children catch her mood and freeze as well. And then you hear behind you the screams of all of those lizard. You can look back and see that a T-Rex has one of your kin in his jaws and is holding it up in the air. Your mother just yells, "Run!" and then just takes off into the woods.
I would follow her.
So you take off into the woods. you are keeping up to her, kind of. Your mom gets away from you into the trees. You're trying to keep the same like line as your mother, but you have to take little trails in between. Sometimes you got to split off just to keep your speed up. You hear there's more than one of these huge animals behind you, these T-Rexes. You don't know the name of them yet, but you know what they look like now. There's at least two of them that you can hear shrieking out over the forest, and your family is just instinctually running away from this, and you become separated. Eventually you realize that you're still running and there's no more sound.
Like dead silence? Like
There's no more shrieking coming from behind you. You're not sure if you outran it or if it stopped. It was one or the other. You've been running for a while. Your mom just said run, and then you just realized that you were alone.
okay. But it's not like all sound cut out. I still hear leaves and stuff.
Yes, you hear, insects.
Okay. Yeah, so not like just utter silence.
You hear a koala off in the distance making a mating call.
I guess knowing that I'm separated from her, once I know that whoever it was chasing me. Yeah.
And just lifted a full-grown lizard person off their feet and held them in the air.
I guess I'll head back towards where I last saw my mother.
Over the next 5 hours, it starts raining. You've heard the sound of rain before. You haven't really been... Well, you've obviously never been alone for it, but you've never been out in kind of nature for it. And your blood starts slowing down, and you start not feeling as well. That's just over the first, say, 6-8 hours.
Okay.
The sun is almost going down, but that it really doesn't affect this deep in the forest because you are so covered by tree and foliage that the sun being up and the sun being down are not that crazily different. But you're starting to lose that little bit of reflected light.
I guess at that point I would try to find a place to hunker down for the night.
You find a hole a little bit similar to the one your mom used to hide you all in. It's really small though, and you haven't gone very far in. It looks like it goes a little bit deeper than the one you were in before, so there may be some caverns back there. Other than that, you don't find a particularly good spot. You can keep looking though, if you like.
I mean, for right now, simply just being away and out of the path and stuff is good enough.
Okay. Do you do anything to make it?
Sleep on the dirt's fine.
And you don't put any like leaves over the top of it or anything? You're still
No,
pretty young. I don't know if you would have learned that yet.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't have thought of that. I would have just gone, found a hole, and hid.
Right.
Yeah, the instinctual, like, trying to hide.
Yeah, you get it's a surprisingly good sleep. You would think it would be terrible, but it's like one of the best sleeps you've had so far in your 2 weeks of living. And you just fucking crash. You wake up the next day and it's like midday. And you are starving.
At that point, I'll head out and look for something that I can eat, potentially like a bug or something.
Sure. You're chasing bugs. These bugs are actually pretty massive. They're dragonflies, but they're huge. They're like a foot long, 2-foot wingspan. And you kind of spend the morning trying to perfect some art of attack on these things. And you are mildly successful. You catch one, but it's after a lot of jumping around and scheming and climbing things, and you think you might be equally as hungry. After you finished eating, you decide that you're equally as hungry as you were before.
Yeah, probably it's been better to not even try.
And so we're getting on with the day. You woke up at noon. That took another 4 hours to really catch one. You're getting towards night and you're still hungry.
Do I remember where the Ankylosaurus was at all? Like how to get back there?
You can try. You definitely make headway. You travel a mile and you kind of come up to this. It's not really a mountain or a hill. It's an upcropping of rock. I guess it would be closer to a mountain with cliffs on both sides.
I don't know that I would stop. I can't think of a reason why I would stop. So I guess I'll keep following it.
Eventually you come upon a cave. Probably 20 feet high at the entrance, and you're about 3 feet high. You think eerily looking at it that a T-Rex might fit in there, but that's just because that's the only thing you've seen in the world that's that big.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you investigate the cave at all?
Yeah. I'll head there. See what I can see.
You find 3 eggs about the size of you in a nest in the back of the cave.
Is there anything else near the nest that's bigger? Actually, no. I wouldn't think to look for that. I would just see eggs, and eggs are sustenance. I'll go and see if I can crack one of some bitches open.
They're as big as you are. I mean, these are serious fucking eggs.
Yeah, big ass meal.
What, are you gonna hit it with your fist?
Probably at first, then if not, doesn't work, I'll try like a rock.
Yeah, it will. Yeah, if you punch it, at least bruise your knuckles. You didn't break anything. But yeah, that's your first experience at punching things. Naturally, as a fully fledged member of the lizard person tree, you look for a tool. You find a few rocks. You find a stick that looks sharp. You're in a cave. There's not a huge amount of things. What did you want?
I think a rock is probably better, and maybe a sharp stick if the rock doesn't work.
You hit it with the rock. The rock bounces off. You're just looking at it. And then you hear from the inside. It knocks back.
Like whatever was inside the egg knocked back?
Seems like that.
Probably just keep snacking.
You go pick up the rock and come back and crack at it again.
Yeah, try to hit around the same spot.
It starts to crack down the side, and it also falls over onto its side. It starts rolling and cracking open. this much, much smaller version of the thing you were eating out there, the Ankylosaurus, and more your size, starts breaking out of its shell and just, with his eyes closed, starts pawing at the ground. And you start hearing some of the other eggs start hatching.
Alright, well, I got a rock. Gonna just beat the shit out of it with the rock.
All right, so you line up your shot. It's not a natural thing to know how to kill things, I don't think. I don't know that you would know exactly how to kill it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna keep hitting because I know that at least the bigger one of this thing is tasty. And I know that it was dead.
Right. Right.
So I just have to make this like that. That way I know it's food.
Yeah, you definitely leave a good gash in this thing's side, and it kind of rolls over and starts batting at the air with its bent legs. But you start hearing this after he starts giving these cries out, like meh meh, really high pitched. You start hearing that thumping again, but it's slower this time. The thump, 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 thump.
Yeah, I guess then knowing the thumping, and that's what I ran away from before, I would go to hide as best I can in the cave.
Okay. You go. There is a large rock you could probably either get behind or get up on top of if you wanted to. And
probably get behind it.
Yeah, you hide back there. And in comes the mother Ankylosaurus. She walks over and starts, I think she licks her young. Yeah, she comes in and she notices that all of her eggs are starting to come out. And she tries to help them get out of this very, thick substance that still is bruised on your hand. She takes no notice of you whatsoever.
Yeah, I'm just gonna stay back here.
Okay. You hear them for the next hour or so. She doesn't leave the den. They all come together. Eventually, the kid you hit with a rock walks around the corner and looks at you. And he goes, ah!
Do I hear the mother coming towards me at all?
Nope. And you would.
Okay. That's not the rock, right?
Yeah. Well, the mother's still in the cave, though.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess if the mother isn't coming, I'll wait and see, let it get a couple more blats out or whatever, and see if the mother comes at all.
Yeah, and it walks towards you.
And at that point, I guess, if it gets anywhere near me, I would try to run.
Okay. All right. He's going to get an opportunity attack.
Yeah. I'm baby. I can't think of anything else that a baby would ever do other than just run. I can't really plead with it. It's an animal.
He bites at the air. You could see he was just born and he's already pretty, he's walking okay and he takes a decent bite at you, but it's not, you've been alive for longer. You're more slippery and you slip past him. The mother is basically blocking the edge of the cave and she looks at you and cocks her head.
Does the cave go deeper?
You were pretty much at the back of it when you were hiding behind that boulder. Now she makes a sound. It's much deeper than the baby's. More like a walrus type sound.
I mean, if she's completely blocking the way, then I guess I would go try to find somewhere else in the cave to instinctively hide. As best I can. Or at least get away from her. Not behind the same rock if there's any other rocks.
There's nowhere else to hide except for that place that you were with the other baby, and the other baby's coming back out behind you now, and you're kind of standing there staring at his mother, and he comes behind you and hits you in the back with his shell and knocks you forward. And you hear his new brothers and sisters laughing. Well, they're making a sound. I don't know that it's laughing, but
Yeah. Sounds like laughter.
The mother starts standing up. She had been kind of wrapped around her kids. The mother stands up very slowly, watching you the whole time. And then she heads back in the cave towards you. Just very slowly, one step at a time, sniffing at the air. She gets right up close to you. She realizes how big you are now that she's up close to you. And she kind of bumps you with her nose. Not painfully. She's just seeing who you are.
Yeah, I guess I'll just freeze and stand still.
She barfs up some food in front of you and her kid. It looks like it looks not so great for you, I guess. You're mostly a meat eater. This is an herbivore, and it's just green stuff that's been hanging out in her throat for a couple hours. She throws it up in front of you. Her kid starts eating it like it's the best thing ever. And she kind of gives you a bump with her nose and then heads back over towards her kids.
Yeah, I guess I will eat it as well. And if it fills me up, then I'll stay?
Yeah, I mean, of course it fills you up. It's not the tastiest thing you've ever had. You know that this Ankylosaurus was significantly more tasty. However, this was brought to you, which has its merits. And you're in a cave, mildly safe. It is getting towards the end of the day. Do you do anything else?
No, I mean, I'll just stay there and eat and sleep. Get food and shelter, basic needs are met.
Yeah, you're good. When you wake up on the following morning, you actually get a pretty decent night's sleep again. That one fucking Ankylosaurus keeps fucking with you, though. He is not happy that you got to hang around. And he keeps like bumping into you with his shell, and his shell is kind of like serrated. So he's being a real dick about it. But other than that, you get like a good night's sleep. In the morning, you hear that low walrus sound again. That's what wakes you up.
Mm-hmm.
And you're sleeping next to that big guy who was fucking with you. He starts following her out, and she keeps yelling until she's yelling back at you. All of her kids are already outside starting to follow her.
Yeah, I guess I'll start following as well.
Yeah, she leads you again through this mostly palm trees and bush forest. It takes maybe 30, 40 minutes for you guys to get there, but she leads you out onto a plain that you've never seen before. It's surrounded by this tropical forest, but it's a long plain. And there's just a few bushes out there. She starts leading you out into this plain. It feels... Your whole life you've been in this canopy. And it feels extremely exposing to be out in just a blue sky. There is the occasional flying creature, but nothing seems to be paying attention to her as she walks out onto this plane. Do you follow?
I'll stay as close to her as I can. So it's clearly protection.
She leads you out to kind of this stubbed palm tree type thing where it doesn't actually go up off the ground. It's just the gross brown part right before the very top. She starts pulling it down and cutting off pieces, basically showing her kids how to forage and showing you as well. She spends a decent portion of the day teaching her kids which plants to go for, or which plants they can eat, which parts of the forest they can eat. Occasionally, the little asshole brother will eat something he wasn't told to, and then 15 minutes puke it up nearby. But yeah, that's what she's spending most of that day doing. Do you do anything else?
Is the plants actually like sustaining me at all, from what I can tell?
Yeah, I mean, you're not hungry. You've been basically just grazing with them all day. It's been a constant... Yeah, you're full of shit. You're probably backed up.
Yeah.
You've just been eating plants all day. You could tell, I guess you might be able to tell a little bit just from instinctual nature that this may not be exactly what you were meant to eat.
Okay.
But you're definitely full.
I mean, if there's bugs or anything near there, like small lizards or anything that I can get, then I'll do that.
Oh, sure. Yeah, your brothers, well, your Ankylosaurus siblings are watching you do this. One of the littler ones comes over and tries to jump on little lizards with you. And they're just not built. It's like an elephant trying to smash a mouse. And it just doesn't work. Yeah, you're able to catch pretty much... you would be able to catch either these small lizards, you'd be able to catch a thing that's like a koala but brown. Or you could catch one of those large insects like you had yesterday.
Yeah, whatever I can catch, I will happily catch and eat.
You don't have any preference between the three of those?
Mm-mm. Whatever's easiest.
Yeah, easiest would probably be little lizard things on the ground.
Going for that.
Yep. The Ankylosaurus watch you, just confused. The mother, she just kind of ignores you as you do this. But she leads on through the forests, picking out certain things, and she doesn't even eat them all. She just picks them up, bites them off, and throws them behind her with her neck. Her kids pick whatever they want off it, and you, I guess, do the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually a relatively peaceful day. Well, she eventually leads you back to the cave. There's really not much more that happens that day unless you happen to want to do something else. When it starts getting dark, she heads back in that direction, still feeding her young.
It's fine by me. It's safe there.
Okay. I mean, if nothing changes, you're pretty good there.
Yeah.
She spends the whole next day doing the same thing. And it's not until the third day, about halfway out through the day, you're following her through she makes these huge rows in the underbrush just by walking through it. And you're walking in her wake. And for the third time in your life, you begin hearing that thumping sound, but it's faster this time. Sound of an 8-ton creature traveling 30 miles an hour. And you see it emerge from the woods and attack at your mother. Well, first it starts going for you. You all back up, and she actually like hits into it, how the other one was hitting you with its serrated shell, and she digs that into him. He roars at her and comes back and starts trying to bite around her neck, and she keeps hitting him with this shell as he bites in, so his face just keeps getting bloodier and bloodier, and he's just biting in it, and she's just keeping digging what would be our shoulder into his face, and it's just tearing him apart. He eventually backs up one step. You and the others have gone into a tree. He backs up for one step, and the mother Ankylosaurus like does this like choreographed spin with her feet. She's huge, but this is a very delicate movement. And she brings around her tail, and as he's coming back down from this scream, lands the 100 pounds of scale she has at the end of her tail into his jaw and just knocks him to the ground. She sets back. He's flailing on the ground, and by the time he stands back up, she's set back with her shoulder forward, ready to take more hits. And he just like, he's dazed out of his, he's going sideways. He's everywhere. And he takes off into the woods. And you can see the mother Ankylosaurus is bleeding. Your brothers start coming out of the deeper woods again. Or not brother, you know what I mean. The other Ankylosaurus. They start coming back over to their mother. Their mother seems to be okay. She's bleeding a lot, but you can also, well, now you're actually close. That smell is really good. Do you do anything at this point?
I think at this point I'm still just gonna hang out near her because clearly she's the most defensible, smart thing to hang around so I don't die.
She eventually, you think she hears maybe the T-Rex nearby? Because she's just standing there and you don't hear anything, but she's just standing there. You could tell her eyes are abstracted and she's just looking out. You could tell she's doing something with her mind, but you can't hear or see anything. And eventually she kind of rests and starts leading you all back through the woods. She's not picking as much stuff off anymore because you can see as she like tries to reach her neck out, the scabs start giving way. So she's trying to pick stuff that's near her. And then you hear the sound of what sounds like lizard people laughing off in the distance. Same sound your mother was making at the beginning.
Okay. In that case, I'll head that way.
The brother who was such a dick to you, actually, when you leave, he happened to be behind you at that moment, and he goes, like yells off after you, like he's yelling for his mom. And then you hear him keep patting off, and you head back. You eventually, as you get closer, you see this is the pack, but your mother is with them, and so are the other siblings now. So she's apparently not as worried about the pack being near her siblings. Do you just head back?
Yeah.
The pressure of hell on your consciousness is immense. It presses always with just a hair more than you can take. It leaves your soul fighting raggedly. It relishes in every slow step of your inevitable failure. It presses you back into flesh. You are a small flesh beast with a few limbs and barely any organs.
That's what I perceive myself as being at the moment.
Yes.
Okay.
And you can tell by feeling around that you're on part of a flesh pile.
Concerning, so I don't seem to be in a forest.
No, you don't. Definitely not. This is, you can smell. This is Dis. Smell is a weird word for a flesh beast, but you can sense that this is the city of Dis. You are in a flesh pile somewhere in the city of Dis.
Would I know if flesh piles are a common occurrence?
Yeah, fairly common.
Well, I guess I would try to move.
Yeah, you pull yourself out of this onto the. You could tell when you're getting up on the iron. You can start to feel your surroundings. You are starting to have some memory of who you were before, and you remember you have a friend nearby. An Aaron, yes, this demon with a beautiful face. And so you kind of start working your way in that direction. And she, well, you eventually get to see her. It takes hours of crawling along these iron streets. You're recalling information from past lives where you've done this before many, many, many times. You've dragged yourself along as a tiny flesh beast. And you're just kind of sense memory driven back to this Aaron, yes. And she said, I told you not to piss off the Abishai, Rauk. And she stamps on you and kills you.
Oh.
And you're thinking about this as you're listening to one of your superiors. It's been hundreds of lifetimes since that. A tiefling with one eye. His name is Morxius. He gives you instructions straight from Dispater, since you have been moved up, earned yourself a body. Says, I want you to take 2 cast of imps, cast a Maragon. We need this city destroyed. And he points towards a map. He points at a village on the northeast of the Sword Coast. And he says, Eshir. It's just north of the Nether Mountains there.
Okay. This is order I'm used to following, or is this new?
It means something's happening, enough to where they would enlist you to go and actually do something. Usually your job has been to learn as much as you can and feed that to Dispater in some way.
Bow my head, say, shall be done in swiftness.
Why don't you take a pain devil just to make sure the job's done right? He snaps his fingers. The iron to his right starts to melt. And up out of it climbs a very tall human man, about 7.5 feet, huge, muscular, holding a flail. And this thing comes to stand next to you, or just behind you. You can tell that you have been given command of this pain devil. And you can pick up the imps on the edge of the city. So yeah, is that what you go about doing?
Yeah.
This pain devil is now just following you everywhere you go. Pretty much your next stop would be to pick up your imps and your Maragon before being transported planes. Unless you wanted to go rogue in some way during this time.
No, I would follow orders for the time being.
It takes a number of mages working together to move all of you across plains. And it's somewhat erratic. Some of them go wrong and they end up miles off, so you have to spend a day collecting all these random idiot imps from the world. Yeah, and these like half-sized warriors, most holding axes, two-handed axes. These are plated in iron instead of what would normally be gold if you were working from another layer of hell. They start moving into your center location, and you are collecting. You have 54 imps and 27 Maragon. You have been given the right of control, the Pain Devil as well. You're 10 miles outside of the town that you need to eliminate. It's nighttime right now, if that affects what you're going to do next.
Usually he's just, a spy intelligence gathering. This was the first, action. But yeah, so if it's nighttime, then that's when I would order the march upon the town or village or however large it is. I'll probably storm the front gate with all of us at once.
The Pain Devil is kind of oddly named. It seems to really like murder, and not so much keeping people in pain. This particular ex-Cruciarch, he just mows his way through the people of this town, slicing them in half with ease. The imps burn everything they can find. This is like a party for imps. Imps love this shit.
Right.
So they're just like getting into the fire.
At some point during that assault, there would be just a moment where Esoteric is standing in the middle of the village square or whatever, and the devils are all running rampant. There's screams and things are on fire and all that. My eyes just kind of glaze over. Disassociation.
And you could see the fire on your eyes. So, after this occasion, you are awarded...
recognized.
Right. For your excellent work. It was extremely efficiently done. There was not even a trace of... Once the wind came through enough, there wasn't a trace of anything. And the wolves took over the town really quick afterwards. You actually made a feast for a whole forest full of animals. But you had to get back to hell. So it's another year of study? What might you have been studying during this time?
Well, general things about the nature of, magic and the arcane, and probably but also how, faith and divine and how they intertwine. How, the divine versus hell, that kind of stuff.
Trying to find a path out of hell, basically.
Yeah, it's Ralk would have. He's mainly about research and knowledge, realizing that everything he's done in the past has pretty much always resulted in that, but he had never had hands-on experience with it until then. So probably there must be another way kind of thing.
Just a reaction to the horror of seeing it. If you're looking up divine stuff in Dis's library, he might have an eye on you. Even though you were just awarded some confidence by him. I think you're okay. I don't think he notices during this period. I mean, you try to keep your searches vague. You're not looking up how to get from hell to heaven or something like that. the breed of this creature, a green Abishai. Very similar to a dragonborn, but even a little more dragonish. He's meeting you in the library. He does speak, and he says, Rauk.
Yeah.
He hands you a piece of paper with a name on it, and he says, this person needs eliminating. It reads, Mason Furrow.
Is his name familiar?
Nope. The mages have instructions on where to go. You will find him in the city nearby.
All right. Is there a particular reason?
Oh, shall I have this give you a nice little letter to take home?
Just curious. You know, usually there should be a reason if we need to take a specific person out.
You would not last on the first level. Don't ask questions, just kill them. Yeah. The greater Beta Zoo he summons up is thinner and looks more lizard-like. He says, take him and as you see to it.
Okay.
Okay. Do you go about doing
Yeah,
this?
I would, do whatever process to transport.
Yeah, you can tell they are not fully... It's because you haven't done this that many times, it seems like they're having people watch you. There's really no reason for somebody else to be with you on this. So are you going about doing that?
Yeah, I mean, I would feel like I had no choice in the matter, so I would accept it and go along with it for now. Yeah, I feel like assuming I had at least enough confidence that I could possibly make something work, I would probably at some point try to slip away once we're on the material plane.
Okay, so you do already have plans for if the situation
Yeah.
arises.
I think I would at least make an attempt. See how it goes.
You get up to the surface. You have this greater Beta Zoo with you. Not particularly talkative. He does speak, though. He has said a few Baishra-like sentences. You see a town off in the distance.
Right. I would head towards the town if that's where our intended target is.
Yeah, you were told it was in the town nearby.
Yeah.
The Beta Zoo, he does not go into the city. He stays
Right.
about a mile out and keeps low to the ground. But where he can keep vision on what's going on.
How to enter the... I mean, this is predominantly human settlement, I assume.
This is apparently, as you're coming into town, yeah, it's all humans.
So yeah, I'm sure I've done it many times with those extremely human guys. Average adult, probably somewhere around 30-ish. Short,
Rich,
very short
poor.
black hair. On the poor side, very
Okay.
nondescript altogether.
Maybe like a farmer, yeah,
Yeah.
something like that. Come walking in, you would fit in any human settlement on the planet. It's almost midday. And there's lots of stuff going on in the streets. No one even bats an eye in your direction. There appear to be a number of different shops. There's like a saloon type thing. There's horses tied up, people walking up and down the street.
I think I would head to the tavern and probably spend some time there.
Drinking?
No, I'd maybe eat, just so it's not overly suspicious, but probably not drink anything but water.
The guy thinks it's a little bit weird.
I mean, sure, I'll leave one goal. It's probably a pretty decent tip for this place.
Yeah, that's a big deal for him. He will, like, treat you to anything you want all night. If it's just water, he gives you a little bit of a weird look, but he's saving money, so it's fine. He'll let you stay as long as you like. You get what look like regulars coming in at about 1 in the afternoon.
I'll ask the tavern keep at some point if he's ever heard of anyone by the name, whatever the name I'm, the quarry. You know?
Mason Furrows. He says, "Oh yeah, I know the Furrows. They got a stead up northeast of the city. You could take the road straight to it."
Okay.
Oh, okay. You, yeah, get up and leave.
I'll wait around a little bit more, and then I would leave. Yeah, and I would.
I was gonna say that's super suspicious.
Yeah, no, I would. Yeah, I would wait around a little bit more before leaving. And then also, importantly, I would not make contact with my babysitter. I would, leave the town from another entrance and head there on my own.
He's keeping an eye on where you're at pretty much all day, or he's trying to. So you're gonna have to slip away if you are going to try that.
Yeah, I'll try.
This guy's entire existence is bent on following you at the moment. I don't think I'm gonna shake him. So you eventually catch glimpses of him far off as he's following along the road, off the road though. You follow this guy's instruction, leads you down. You can spot it off in the distance for a good half hour if you're just walking. This little grove of trees. You can just barely make out the geometric features among the trees. It's just this little patch of trees among all farmland.
Okay. Do I know if I know I'm being followed?
You know you're being followed, yes.
Alright.
He's not trying to elude your vision at all.
Right. Well, I think I would, wait for him to catch up or make contact with him or whatever at this point then.
Oh, yeah, you could walk off the road. He's just a couple 100 feet off the road.
Okay.
There's the farm, he says.
So I go to him and say, so how we're going to play it is I'm going to go in to disarm them, make them not think anything's amiss. And then when I give the signal, which will be, I'll cause the door to fly open and the ground to tremor, and that'll be your signal to come in to attack.
If you don't want to do it yourself.
Well, it'll be both of us. It's just that's how we approach it.
Sure.
So I will then begin approaching the farm in human guise, but not stealthily. Like I'm strolling up to the front door. But my intention is to walk up to the door and knock and try to enter like a normal person, greet them like a normal person.
Okay, so you knock on the door. You hear some rustling. He says, I got it. And he opens up the door and he says, hello, can I help you?
Are you Mason Furrow?
No, I'm James Furrow. How do you know my son?
Mason here. That's why I'm here. You're in danger.
What?
Agents of hell are coming to kill you. I'm here to warn you to so you can flee.
Wait, no, get out of here. Get out of here. I'm not, this has nothing to do with me. Get out of here. He goes back in he goes back inside and gets the
Your
shovel.
family is in danger.
Get out of here. Who are you?
You have to listen to me. It's imperative that you flee.
I don't know who you are or what you're trying to do, but I want you off my property.
Your lives will be forfeit if you stay and don't listen to me.
Yep. He takes a swing at you with the shovel. And yells at you, get off. Don't come back.
Alright, I'll start running just away the opposite direction of where I came from.
Okay. The Beta Zoo takes this as his signal and he pounces on the father.
Yeah, no, I'm fleeing. I'm not even.
You're running. And you
running
you hear
away.
this going on behind you. Basically, he's jumping into the house and setting it ablaze and murdering everyone inside, and you're running. Where are you running to?
I'm trying to run away where I can get to.
Do you take your sandals off?
Yeah. I would drop the disguise and I'll just run.